see the plague I have in my
What
eye.
you hear in yourself when no one's to be found? What keeps you eased out? What takes you off your mind?
You better, cause you want this, I want this. Everybody in this, we should have it. Stop illusions, it's in your hands. Show yourself, reveal it to them. You better take the time to recognize it. You won't leave me even if I tried it. You're the artist in the mass and happily perform the new in your hands.
Big dog status, I'm a big dog vet. I pull up on the block in a big Corvette. Yeah, ride around the city with a stick all black. Try with a stroke, but we ain't with all that. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Made $1 million and I can't go back. Got a lot of jewelry on me, man, you can't hold that. 12 asking better, tell him that I ain't so crack. Know your money long when your people can't afford that. I'm ballin', yeah. My mama told me that did my calling. I keep that stick, I don't do no brawling. Open out the doors and let them all in here. Yeah, they all in here. Ooh, big dog. We come out the pound, so we big dog. Heavy petty, got me break my wrist off. I'm young out of rocket, about to lead dog. 3, 2, 1. I got big dog status, I'm a big dog vet.
What is up, creators? Giving you a little sneak peek of what is to come on this week's stream. Welcome to the Friday Live Helpcast with me, your hostess, the mostess, Diana Gladney. I'm so pumped, proud, pleased, and excited to be with the creator crew out here in these real and digital streets. How you been? How you doing? Whether you're watching this live on the replay, how you doing? All right, first and foremost, if you're new here, you're gonna see this quite a bit because chap lips are illegal in the state of Missouri. So, or at least they're on the channel. Hope you guys are doing great. A lot of good updates coming. New announcement that I did not mention in the description that's coming. Got a new giveaway getting ready to drop on the channel as well. A lot of great things going on behind said scenes. And even what you're looking at right now is part of some of these new gear announcements out here in these real and digital streets. Hope y'all having a great and fantastic week. What is up, Mr. Camera Junkie? Good to see you, Mr. Luis Vega. And every time I think of your name, Luis, a little side note, I'm like, hello, my name is Luis Vega. Every time you do your intro on your channel. So shout out to you. Freddie Kano in the building. What is going on? Good to see you. Glad that you are here. Got some exciting updates getting ready to roll out. First of all, let's jump into some of the news just coming out from YouTube. That YouTube shorts are jumping to 3 minutes, cutting off from that 60-minute cap, which is something that when they first dropped it, everybody was kind of curious about and wondering whether or not it would be worth keeping it at the 60 minutes or should they go longer. So I'm curious what you all think. Should shorts be extended to the 3 minutes, or is that something that you would use or even watch, rather, like for whoever you enjoy watching through shorts the most? And then is this something that you're going to use and leverage? I have some ideas around said thing, but I want to hear what y'all think around that first. And that is going to take, maybe it'll be around, really that update is going to come, I think they said October the 15th, if date serves me correctly. So that will be here before we know it, but depending on how they roll this out, it may take a little bit longer before it shows on your side of the streets. So Nishol, is that right? Let me know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Good to see you. Glad that you're here. Saying, ooh, 3 minutes. Yeah, so shorts are jumping to 3 minutes, saying FYI, heavy vignette. I know. Like I said, you looking at something different. We haven't gotten to that yet, Luis. Okay, hold the horses. We haven't gotten to heavy vignette. Yes, it is. For said reason, I'll show you more about that in a second. Gave a little sneak peek a couple seconds before we started the stream, but we'll get into that. But yeah, so 3 minutes for shorts. So I'll jump into the first thing I always think about when these new updates come out is strategy, content strategy wise. What are we looking at? So for me though, also the way I get into this is as a consumer, especially like when you look at Instagram and you're looking at TikTok that already have these extended windows. Instagram actually did this eons ago when they just jumped to like an hour. And so people did that all kind of ways wrong, of just like, I'm just gonna take my Sunday sermon and drop it on Instagram, the whole thing as a video, not a live, just a video. Then people were saying like, oh, I'm just gonna take, like if I like the stream is recorded anyway, so it'll be live after, you know, like you can rewatch it, like I said, live or replay, community can watch it. Okay, well, I don't know how that does on the replay on Instagram. Everybody, when they first go to a platform initially, you figure out how you want to use it. So for me, Instagram is not that place where I want to sit for an hour or two. YouTube, of course, like I'm in it to win it because I can watch it on desktop, mobile, don't matter, and I'm good to go. Whereas on Instagram, not so much. TikTok, longer videos to a point, did it for me. First thing I would say, strategy wise, for the 3-minute rule of it going out, don't make content longer just because you can make it longer, because that does not mean it will be better for the end result user, because why would they want to continue watching? You know what I'm saying? Like, attention is, like I always say, the number one most traded commodity online, especially because that's the main thing everybody's fighting for, is attention. So once you hook them, you got them, then we can go into, you know, like what are the things that make them stay longer, or what are the things that make them comment, or whatever. You start getting on that hierarchy of engagement scale. But I can't see just instantly jumping to 3 minutes. However, it's just for some base content, I think I'm gonna stick for most things. It's probably gonna stay 60 seconds, but where it makes the most sense to me right out the gate, when you have something that is 61, 62, or 63 seconds long. And it's been several shorts that we have where I could put that on TikTok, I put that on Instagram, and it could just live and it's fine. Views on it or whatever, engagement, consumption on it is fine. But it's 61 seconds, or you write it that 60 seconds and some change, and then YouTube is like, no, we're good. So, you know, you have to cut those bits off. Well, now you don't. So if YouTube shorts are now going to 3 minutes, that's the first thing I would say, is those pieces of content where it is the 61, 62, and 63 seconds long, then at that point, great. But like I said, if it could be cut out already, then it begs the question, where was the extra fluff to begin with? We thought it was fine, but you know, it's like, where's the extra fluff to begin with? Second thing, you know what? I'm not going to tell you what the second thing is. That one, I will say that's just more or less a given. We'll deal with that one later. So, but that's some thoughts around like the YouTube shorts going to 3 minutes. But I can see some niches, some markets and stuff where it would make more sense, and it does open an interesting door on YouTube specifically, because with YouTube, it's doing what nobody else can do, which is long form content well for a long time well. So evergreen content long well. That being the case, with shorts, what content would make the most sense to now be an evergreen short? It changes the game on how people have been assuming shorts would be. It's just like, this is a short-lived piece of content. It's only a right now kind of a thing. Here's one piece. Y'all let me know if you've seen this on your regular feeds or whatever. Christmas is almost here. Whose song do you always hear every year in the stores? Mariah Carey. All day long. Forever and a day, Mariah Carey. Well, something that's now becoming a seasonal thing is like Mariah Carey's Unthawing. If you've seen this, if not, then just stick with me for a second. She's unthawing, singing the All I Want for Christmas song that you just never gonna stop. It feels like it's March before you stop hearing that song. And so even now she's playing into this with her brand. You have to go check out, I think it was her Instagram account yesterday or so, that I saw that put that out. So that's just something that's become a seasonal thing of like, dad, Christmas is almost here. We're excited for Christmas, but dad, I don't feel like hearing this song for 33 weeks, it feels like, in a row. So that's my thoughts around it. What is up, Just Tornado? So y'all let me know what your thoughts are when it comes to shorts. Is this something, the 3-minute shorts on YouTube, is this something that you would do? Is this something that you want to see? And as a consumer of said content on YouTube for shorts, can you see yourself watching it? Because sometimes stuff surprises us. Like at first, everybody was so against shorts on YouTube. But the more your social dynamic changed and your social consumption changed on other platforms, the more everybody else wanted to like get in with that. And so obviously it's blown up and whatnot like that. What is up? The Alan Jones Creator Diary, or you changed your channel name. Kudos. Saying evening everyone. Hope you're all good. Hope you're doing well as well. Saying, why did I walk in on the combo about that Blasticine? That's why I said there's a different game change to it with the shorts now, because it's not just short content is only something that you think about as short-lived content. Short content now, with best case scenario ever or use case example, All I Want for Christmas, Mariah Carey, Forever and a Day song that you're gonna hear, it feels like, for 33 weeks in a row, way past Christmas, okay? And so that thing is people are finding new ways every year. What's the new way we can kind of play on this or whatever? I'm loving it. Before it's Christmas and they actually start playing the song, I love all the All I Want for Christmas stuff that's coming out. I'm not going to enjoy hearing it 72 times in the store. I'm just not. But that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's now, so you think seasonal content, what evergreen short kind of content would make sense that, you know, could give a little bit extra life. Like I said, that 61 seconds, 62 seconds, 63 seconds, it'll be gold for just that extra little bit. It will give you more time for your content and then the call to action or whatever. But I also think it's going to change and frustrate people a little bit more as well, simply because people don't want to be bothered. They want the thing that the reason why they clicked, and just that, and they want to move on. And you got less than 3 seconds, or roughly 2 to 3 seconds, to figure out, do I want to stay and see what else, or do I want to scroll past? So even more so, hooks are going to be a go-to thing to fix and keep working on. Even I constantly fix and work on, like, what's a better opener, what's a better hook for this, and learning from. So I'm curious to see how that'll go. But would you use, back to the question, can you see yourself using a 3-minute short on YouTube, or can you see yourself watching a 3-minute short on YouTube? Not necessarily full 3 minutes, but can you see yourself watching longer pieces? So I'm curious. Saying I will watch it because sometimes I just need a little bit more detail or a little bit more tea. I agree. So news, journalism, update type stuff, all niches, all industries have update type stuff where, so one creator I love that I found on TikTok is, and she's more into like that news journalism type space. And it's like, her name is like Creator Under the Desk, or News Under the Desk, I think it's called, or whatever. And so she has like a lapel mic that she's holding, and it was just the most bizarre thing. She would be literally under her table doing the news, and I would watch it all the time. And I just like, I see you under the desk. I know I need to stop and see what's going on. Something new has happened. Let me see what's going on. And then two, we talked just a little second ago about fixing hooks and whatnot, and working on hooks. That was a hook. It's a visual hook. So when it comes to the game of hooks, visual hooks, audible hooks, most people only think about like when you crafted out a hook, like, let me make sure I say something, but the showing something is also a hook, which is why even in the photo video space, you see everybody's video that's like photography, videography type stuff. It zooms in, or it's, it's not zooming in, it's zooming out. It's one or the other, zooming in or zooming out. It has that ramp up, high pitched tone, and it uses some kind of like film burn effect or whatever. And so they always start the same way. It's an audio hook, but it's also a visual hook. So if you're not doing one of those, or you haven't tried one of those, that's another cool way to do that. It don't have to be extravagant, but just something else to throw in there. So I can see myself watching, not gonna lie, I already do on TikTok. Again, I think that's another reason why, like, I agree with you, because social behavior has changed on the YouTube sphere. We watch longer content now, because of TikTok or whatever. The biggest thing I think, though, for creators is going to be, can you earn the trust of somebody watching your stuff longer? You know what I'm saying? Because some people are going to do it, and it's just going to be fluff. Stuff that didn't take to be there. Maybe they don't edit the bits that should be edited out. And so now you have to, it takes longer to weed through the stuff. The one thing I definitely don't want it to become is, like, I think it's done well on TikTok. The one thing I don't want to do is get a habit of having to scroll through shorts, or feeling like I have to scroll through shorts to find the piece that I want out of what you said that hooked me into the beginning. And I'm still having to do now the same kind of stuff we do on regular longer YouTube videos. It's like, okay, let me go 3, 4. Okay, 4 minutes is when I'm seeing or you're showing or saying something that I want, and then I'll start watching from there. It's like I don't want to be bothered at that point, because then I'm like, are you gonna finally get to the point now or no? You know what I'm saying? So that's my thoughts on it. All right, last question on this, and then we'll move on. Said it'll be interesting to experiment with, to produce the same material in 30 seconds, 60 seconds, and then the full 3 minutes to see which performs better. So that's cool. So like got your A, B, and C testing just to see what it wants. I think it'll be, for me, if I'm looking at this from a tech side kind of a thing, again, it's just, what does the piece dictate? Is this a piece that it only needs to be 30 seconds? Does it need to be, it could be 54, 55, 56 seconds? Or, for me, I don't know about going to 3 minutes. An interview is one way that I would love to see a little bit more, versus click the link down into the thing in order for me to go watch the 56-minute. Like, sometimes I'm not really interested in the 56-minute interview. I just wanted to see what else they said about X. I just want them to finish their sentence. That's it. I don't want to watch the 56. The whole interview is not what's interesting to me. Just the piece of content that I'm seeing, I just want those extra few seconds for them to finish their sentence or finish making the point, and then I'm satisfied, and then I'll move on. Because I may not watch that 56-minute interview, but let's say the interviewee or interviewer may have a specific topic around that thing on their channel that's like a piece on that, and then I want to go watch that. So, social behavior on that is gonna be a little bit different. Saying OMG, scrolling through shorts is crazy work. Right? Like, think of it, like, how many times do you just get the tapping on your phone because you're like 10 seconds, 10 seconds, 10 seconds, 10 seconds, 10 seconds. Okay, let me scroll down and scrub the video until you see like a snippet of a visual that kind of looks like, or maybe a title screen or something. It's like, are you getting to the point? Are you getting to what I want yet, or whatever? I definitely don't want to start scrolling through shorts. If I find I have to start scrolling through a short, I'm probably going to skip it. Because that's not what I like. I know if I like the short, I would rather watch a regular YouTube video so that it's not so rushed. If it needs to be rushed, that's the difference. If it needs to be rushed, or if it needs to be a longer piece, so be it. If it don't need to be a longer piece, leave it, as is. Since the recent surge in the term has arisen on almost every video that I watch, I'll use it here. I guess it also matters what your value proposition is in the short, and if it will hold attention. So, I would say it's probably a recent resurgence in the word value proposition, because, so I would say the people that I learned YouTube stuff from, the people I learned about building a brand, the people I learned about building any kind of content marketing fed business, the value proposition was at the time on your, like, there was so many things that had to happen. Like, the YouTube of today is not the YouTube that it was in 2016 and 2017. So you still have to have a value proposition, whether it's spoken of or not. You still have to have one. Even shorts have a value proposition as is today. If they didn't do a 3-minute update, shorts still have a value proposition, because there are some people I follow so I can watch their shorts, not so I can watch their regular YouTube videos, because what I want to see most from them is mostly produced in their shorts. And so I look at their shorts feed, like when you click on, like you in shorts, the YouTube shorts feed, I click on that person's name, and then it takes me over and it only shows me their shorts. Then I'm scrolling through those. I only want to see those. I don't want to see a longer video. I just want to see those bits. And then if I want to see that bit, then I'll go see if there's a longer video for it. But my normal thing isn't like to always go see if they have a longer piece of content on it, because the short may have done its job. So it's like, so there's a value proposition in making sure the shorts are good. Because even if I just want to, I'm like, oh, this is a great topic. Like I found this one chick that does a bunch of like health stuff on Instagram or whatever. Same value proposition goal of, do you have more of this? Period. Value proposition broke down very simply, especially when it comes to content marketing. Do you have more of this? I've seen something from you. I've started watching it. I like it. Do you have more of this that I can watch? Do you have other things around, that something that I'm interested in, something that is intriguing to me, or something I'm having a problem with? For most business owners or whatever, it's usually like you're solving some sort of a problem in some respect, or you're speaking to some kind of interest or whatever. Like this is an interesting topic because it's new. There's some intrigue of what should I do, what could I do, whatever kind of a thing. It'll change once it drops, and people will start introducing or what's the word I'm looking for? People start running into problems essentially. And so because of that, now we can produce content that now solves that problem. So the value proposition is, what value are you serving to this person? What value are you producing? How are you best serving them? Put very simply, how are you best serving them? Who are you? What do you have? And why should I care? It still boils down to the same basic stuff. Who are you? What do you have? And why should I care? Except they don't care about you when they first click on the stuff. They care about the reason why they want to stop and watch, which is why it takes more effort, and it's harder for some creators, for even somebody to remember your name on TikTok. They will remember your name on YouTube. They will remember your name on Instagram. Most stuff you watch on TikTok, I would venture to say 80 to 90% of the people that you watch, or at least in the high 70 percentile that you watch, you don't know their name. You know their face. You know a lot of things kind of like about them and what you would watch on the channel. You don't have the same value of what actions you take, calls to actions and stuff like that. You don't really do that. You watch and you consume for the most part. So, you know what I'm saying? So it goes a little deeper than that. We got some more comments that came in since I've gone through. So that's what they do on TikTok. They hold the punchline until 55 seconds because the video won't monetize less than 51 seconds. For that point, if I have to skip, scan, and scroll, I'm gone. Because I will serve up great content. I will push it out. I will share it. We have no problem sharing stuff. So we'll have no problem, doing that. If a piece was good, let it be what it only needs to be. You get more watch time on a 32-second video. They figure out, oh, I like this, I'm interested in this, or do you have more stuff that solves other problems that I have in this arena? You go over to their channel, and you start a binge watching session. I would rather have that than hold somebody over for 50 something seconds because I'm trying to do the monetize. It don't work like that. It don't work well like that. Serve first. It goes back to the same basic stuff. Serve first, and then it'll come back. Give people what they want. They'll help you get what you want. Same basic stuff works. But if I gotta scroll, I'm gone. I'm not waiting on this. I don't want to be bothered. I said, okay, got through that. Blessed white chocolate day, everyone. Indeed, my good sir. Indeed. Saying, question, I'm going to be buying my first Mac at M2 Max MacBook Pro. I'm very, very scared. Is the transition from Windows to Mac really that jarring? Great question as we jump into our Helpcast tech question. And then I'll get into some new things dropping from... Actually, I'm not going to show you. You're looking at one of them, but I'm not going to show you the other one. You have to wait. So drop some questions if y'all have those. We will get to just base Q&A stuff. So if you're new here, or you're watching live on the replay, thanks for being here. So is a transition from Windows to Mac really that jarring? Nothing is hard unless you already assume that it's hard. Some things do actually have have more difficulty, a higher sense of difficulty, because it incurs a lot. Learning a computer is just learning a computer. The only things that you really need to learn is where's the same buttons that I use now. And for certain programs, if it's only a Windows-based program, what's the equivalent? It's like no different than going to a town. Where's the you go to a new city, new town, whatever. Where's the closest gas station? Where's the closest grocery store? Where's the post office? Like you figure out the same basic stuff. How close am I in proximity to the airport? If I needed to travel, where are some good food places? You ask the same basic questions. It's just a new city. So same rules apply with a computer. When you're going from Windows to Mac, it's not a huge jump. You simply just need to figure out, okay, we have the start button in Windows. It's the Apple icon in it's the Apple icon in what's the name? System preferences. It's still called system preferences. Settings, system settings is still system settings. Display settings are still display settings. It's just a different user interface. When I made that transition, program wise, the way I found to learn my computer best and the fastest was pick a project, same way I do with any software, same steps essentially. So if I know, for me, I wanted to use Final Cut Pro. I was using Filmora at the time, and that was on Windows only. And it's like, well, you need to buy another license that's Mac only versus me just being able to sign in and download what I already owned or whatever. So I'm like, no, I want Final Cut Pro anyway. So same rules apply. How do I add content? How do I put that content on the timeline? How do I make basic cuts with it? Add a title or a picture. Music is still within that drag and drop type stuff. Volume stuff is still the same. And then how do I export? I'm not trying to do all the magical things that the program can do. I just want to figure out the basic stuff. There's nothing to be afraid of, honestly. Being 100% honest with you, I have no allegiance to anybody. I just use what I like and enjoy and what actually works and serves me well. And so because of that, like, you'll still have your regular computer available. So if something is time consuming, you know exactly how to use that on your main computer. So maybe don't switch to like, it's all or nothing. You go and instead of or. So I'm like, I use Windows and I use a Mac, and slowly transition stuff over, especially for certain programs that make sense for work or business. Download your main stuff, and that's pretty much it. It's not a hard transition. What's great is you learn, oh, I don't need to have a TechSmith, I think it's called, or something like that, software in order to record screen. QuickTime does that. Oh, I don't need some software specifically if I just want to hook my camera up and record everything like this. If this was all I wanted to record, I could just use QuickTime for that. So I don't need a subscription. So I got rid of that. And it's like, you know what I'm saying? So you start finding little stuff, but don't think or, just think and. But the transition is super smooth to go from Windows to Mac. But you don't have to just throw away your Windows machines right now. If you need to do something quick, you know exactly how to execute that. Do it on the Windows. But then see how you can do it on the Mac. If I was going to do this on the Mac, which I find works best because you need to actually produce something, how would that work? One thing I would say, if you're not use LastPass or 1Password to manage password signing in type stuff, because then that way it makes it easy. Make sure your bookmarks, usually if you do Google or if you have like a Gmail account and you have your bookmarks and all that stuff will load in, so you'd be good to go. It's not hard at all. So there's so many things I'm having to learn, like formatting my SSDs to Apple. Again, it's super easy. Honestly, now you could probably find YouTube shorts on it that just give you exactly the main thing you're asking about, and that's it. So you don't have to spend a bunch of time on a longer form video around it. Crystal Farmer, good to see you. Glad that you are here. Like a thumbnail photo you got going on there. And also learning that Apple software called Gatekeeper may be a biatch that's getting disabled day one. Depends on what all you're trying to do. I'll put it that way. Make adjustments as you go. As you see something like, oh, I don't need that, or I don't want that, take it out, get rid of it. Saying, who are you? What do you have? And why should I care? 100%. Because it's the stuff that we're not audibly saying in our head, but it is the stuff that if it don't get answered, we're out. We're out. And if you don't have more content, put this out there. If you don't have the content, more of the content that people want, they gonna leave anyway. And so, saying that part. Saying equivalent doesn't even register to me because I'm prepared to run some Windows stuff like via Parallels. My friend has been trying to convince me to stay on Windows, but I can't take the abuse anymore. Just work at one thing at a time. One thing at a time. ATL Grow up in the building, throwing out some advice as well. Do sometimes mix it up, Control Command. I wrote on my physical keyboard because it don't, like, I got a, who is this by? Sateki, something like that or whatever. I wrote on my keyboard so I would know what's the buttons for Apple. I'm like, what's that squiggly line thing? I'm like, what is that? I'm like, what is this? What's the symbols? I'm like, my keyboard don't have all that stuff. It can connect to multiple things. I think 3 different machines at once, which is why I use this keyboard. I think I've had this now since 2019 or so. And so I can go, that's another thing that would be helpful. Get you a keyboard that works with any of the machines that you need so you can go from one to the other and stuff like that. But now that I'm in the Apple ecosystem, I absolutely love it for the kind of work that I do and the kind of stuff that I like. See, I still do it all day long. Yeah, and I used to do the same thing at the bank. I'm glad you mentioned that. It would be Windows at work, and I come home and do Mac stuff. And it was no, like, your muscle memory is locked in once you get in there. So it's saying I'm hitting that Command Shift D4. It's saying, good grief, this isn't my Mac. See, Mac solves problems. Mac solves problems. And how's your live so clear? Gosh, it's creamy. I have a capture card and a Sony a6100. That's what I'm talking about. And it's a kit lens. Any other tips? Couple things. This is the lens. A lot of it is the lighting, and then it's the lens, which I'm glad you brought that up. So I said we got some tech stuff that's coming and some giveaways. So let's go ahead and cut over to yonder. So this is what's on the camera right now. So Viltrox sent over some nice gifts out here in these real and digital streets. So this that you're looking at when you're looking at me on the camera is the Viltrox 56mm f1.7, and this is an APS-C thing. This is shaking because I took the little inside bit out just so you can see it or whatever. But this is the 56 f1.7 E-mount, and so I have this on the camera right now. If y'all want to take a look-see at what you're looking at. So I left the vignette on, as Louise pointed out earlier, so you can see what that looks like. But with the magic of Ecamm, if I wanted to get rid of that just a little bit, I could, and then punch in just a smidgen more. I like the vignette a little bit, like I do for my regular streams, but it is a little heavier. So this is about maybe a little bit more than what I have usually, but more or less, when you just put it straight on the ZVE1, this is that 56mm f1.7. I've been using it, I think it's been about a week and a half or so now that I've had it, maybe 2 weeks. So I've done interviews with it, and it has a USB-C on it. I love it. So if you notice, compared to the f2.8 that I usually have my, I got it on the ZVE10 right now, that I usually have at f2.8, then you see that the bokeh or bokeh, the books, everything is way blurrier. How I used to do, because my stuff will be at f1.8. Autofocus wise, this lens is amazing. And it does a good freaking job. So let's go on over to, actually, let me show you on the interwebs what that looks like. Let me slide over, because I'm sitting crooked. And alrighty, so this is the lens that we're looking at. I feel like I'm sitting wrong or something. How am I doing this today? All right, there we go. So this lens on B&H Photo Videos, and so they did send the white version because I have the white chocolate storm edition. Shout out to them for doing a Fuji one. $180. This is this lens, $180. So I got the white version on, and it looks, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna hold you. I saw it was white, and I was just like, oh, okay. That's like, hey, we got some white lenses. Do you want some? I said, well, I do want that 56, and I want to put that on and see if that'll work for, like what that looks like for streaming and stuff like that. And I said, if you all don't mind, I want to do a giveaway on the channel as well. And so because they wanted to send me 2 different lenses. So I'll share with you what was sent in just a second, because this goes off of something somebody asked about, a couple somebodies. So this is the one that you're looking at right now, the 56mm f1.7. It is an APS-C lens, but I did want to show you all, which is why I left the vignette on, so you can see with no clear image zoom crop on it, straight on a full frame, what it looks like. So it has that USB-C in the back, which will come into play in just a second. And then it's super lightweight. It's lightweight, like maybe a smidge heavier than the kit lens usually is on the camera that was mentioned. But I like this lens. I like it more than I thought I would. I thought 56 is going to be too much, but I'm also like, oh, this isn't a full frame 56. This is an APS-C. I'm like, so I'll get actually more range out of this. So as I shared, I'm like, this will work well. So this is it straight with no, what's the name of, removed in English. Let me say this correctly. With no clear image zoom enabled. If I do a mock clear image zoom using Ecamm, just to pull that in, this is about where I would do. Just about. Space wise, how far away, I added an extra foot. So usually I'm like 2 feet to 2.5 feet with my 35mm f1.8 lens. That's APS-C lens for my usual streams and stuff. I've been rocking it at f2.8 more recently, but this is at f1.7. So that's what that would look like if I did clear and zoom. I'll still like a little bit of vignette for the videos personally, but if I completely just put it on the lens, this is what this would look like on full frame. And then obviously on APS-C, there would be no vignetting at all because it's built for APS-C specifically. So how is my live so clear? So like I said, the first thing, first and foremost, lighting. Proper lighting, which y'all said y'all like the dark vibe. What was it, the last stream that we did? And I turned the lights off because I was sharing how that works. But just good lighting. Good lighting will do wonders even with the kit lens. And then probably not running it in auto and letting it do wild things to the image. So exposure wise for your skin tones, you look like about the same complexion as me. Could be a smidge, a little bit darker, it looks like, maybe. But I think we might be around the same hue for our skin tones. But all I do, I sit like this, hold my hand up, it's called the palm test, and I'll see, can you see the details of my hand? Flip my hand over, which is always going to usually be pretty good. And you just want to be able to clearly see the details on the other side of your hand. But the underside of your hand, and this doesn't matter who, but I'm saying this more specifically because we're about the same hue in our skin tones. So yours probably will look very similar. I don't do a whole lot to my image and stuff like that, but this is close to almost straight out the camera, but not exactly because Sony hasn't quite perfected, in my opinion, people with a darker hue exactly. It does a great job, but just, I'm saying like straight out the camera, like standard picture profile, I have to make tweaks to stuff personally, but that's just my personal thing. So, but that's how, and that's what I'm using. Say my Windows PC actually died, so it's like starting over. Got you. What you could do? Computer died. Yeah. Then just think of it that way. Where's the button that I need to hit when I'm trying to do X? I would say that, you know. So there's that. Saying I use both daily. I used to as well when I worked at the bank. We had a Windows based system. And then at home, it would be Mac. Saying if you're just using Mac, you'll transition even faster. That's true because you have to find where's this button. And honestly, Google will be your best friend. Some stuff with ChatGPT, they don't have completely correct, but it's easy with YouTube because with YouTube because you just find the thing. Just do a quick Google search, let it do the hard work, check the videos tab, find the shortest video and watch it. Like I said, a lot of times now you could probably find a short around it as well. You say I wanted something else that you to mention to what you said. I have a capture card, an A6100, but it's a kit lens. Kit lens, don't let that make you feel like dag, my camera's not good enough now because I put a kit lens on it. Will it give you the blurry background? No. Will it optically have as sharp of an image or what have you? No, but it's not going to completely ruin your image either. Most of your audience probably doesn't even know anyway. So what you will notice is your stuff what behind you won't be blurry unless you go outside, because then you have infinite space behind you. Whereas with the f-stop, that F number, when you look at the bottom screen of your camera, that's called the aperture, or also the f-stop. When you have a wall directly behind you, there's nothing to blur anyway, so there's that. But I got maybe like 2.5, 3 feet behind me, but it looks like super blurry. What does that is the lens, so you would need to change the lens. Now, like I said, with the kit lens, it'll be at f3.5 at that 16 millimeters. Because of that, if I was to put the kit lens on this, you just would infinitely see everything is clear now. You may see a little bit of it being a little blurry, but you'd have to, especially like recording in a smaller space, you'd have to go to like a 30 millimeter range on there, but then the image gets dark because it's a variable aperture. So that's why you'll hear different stuff with people saying like, oh, this is a fast lens versus a slow lens. You will start hearing language like that when you start watching tech videos and stuff. But what you really want is just to get a different lens. So I would look at, what do you usually do when you sit down and you're zooming in and out on that kit lens? What does the number say on the screen? Because it'll say 16 millimeters, 17, 18, 19, 20. Like when you sit down, what do you do to kind of get the framing that you have? What number does it say? Then go look for a lens, or you can ask me if you got your camera, or if you like at home or whatever, what is it? Or if you just know it, put it in chat and I can give you a recommendation on lens wise. How far away from the camera are you? How much space do you have behind you? Because I've done consultations with people and they're like, I can't get my background blurry. And I'm like, okay, well, sit down, show me where your stuff is at. And I'm like, oh, it ain't behind me. You ain't nothing behind you but a white wall. We can't make the wall blurry. I mean, you can, but if you, like most people, chair is bumping up against the wall. I'm like, that's not gonna work. That's not gonna work. Depending on what's what with the stream today, or what questions come in, if you're in your office, I'll give you the link so that you can click on. I'll bring you on live, and then you can show me, and I'll walk you through what's what, and so we can do that live if you are in that space to do that. Iman's World of Geek, good to see you. Glad that you are here. Saying hi, Diana, chat. I'm in the comic book community here on YouTube, and I hear having a mix of both live and recorded videos prevents the algorithm from suggesting other channels. Is that true? No. Here's the thing with the algorithm. The algorithm is based on people. It's based on people. It's not, and the algorithm is built to serve that person, us included, as a consumer. Is built to serve whoever is on the keyboard, the person on the keyboard, to serve them more of what they want. That's it. If we keep it super simple, how can we get you to watch more content? And how can we get more content? Sorry, I'm trying to get some water here. How can we get more content to you? And how can we get more people to see other stuff that they like and stay on the platform? So if I like gardening, which if y'all know, it's like my health stuff has changed. And so I'm into more organic foods. I'm looking for different brands. I'm trying to keep up with the news in the foods and the health space and stuff like that. So once YouTube sees that I search for best organic brand for bread, best organic sandwich bread, and I put that in, and I want to see, what is it about Ezekiel bread that somebody made like versus 7 Sundays or something like that? Okay, well, based on that, it's like, what other kind of stuff would I be interested in? I'm a meat eater, so I would want to know about turkey. I would want to know about the best beef to eat. I would want to know about the difference between this versus that. Okay, well, Christmas, holidays, whatever coming around, do you have big organic turkeys or whatever? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're looking for certain things. Well, what else would I want to watch? So YouTube is only looking now, the algorithm is now based on what would help me see that. I've watched lives where somebody's talking about food, healthy food, and they're like, here's how I cook my organic chicken breasts using, and we'll look at these different seasonings and why I would or wouldn't use this one, or because we're used to a lot of stuff having, like, especially in the Black community and Hispanic and community of colors, it feels like across the board, we want heavy seasoning, and that seasoning is going to be heavy in the salt arena. So it's like, okay, well, this one don't have a bunch of salt in it, so here's what I would use instead. And so you can answer questions live or whatever, and I'm hanging out, having a good time. I watch their regular content. I watch their shorts content. Why? Because I care about getting served the stuff that matters most to me, and YouTube serves their content to me. So it's not about lives or shorts, and it will tell you most of the time, sometimes, if I just bust out doing a cooking video on this channel, most people ain't gonna care. It'd be some ride or dies that just be like, I'm just here to hang out. But most of the time, ain't nobody gonna care unless I switch it to here's how you can do a cooking live stream show, and the production breakdown. I'll go through all the gear that we're using. Now it becomes interesting, because if you're doing videography work, if you're doing some kind of setup that you want to do at home or whatever, it's like, could I do a setup like this for video podcasting? Could I do my own news kind of show that's at a higher production? How can I incorporate Ecamm Live with that? How can I use StreamYard with that? Now it makes more sense. You know what I'm saying? So it's not about one or the other kind of a thing. It more or less is about, is this of interest to the person that's watching, and how can we get more people like this to watch this? And when you watched it, were you actually interested in it? How long did you watch? Or did you lose interest and leave? That's why you get polls as a viewer on YouTube, and they'll ask you, you watch this new person's content, or you've been watching new stuff around X. How did this make you feel? Not about the creator. How did the content make you feel? Was it informative? Was it funny? Was it interesting or intriguing? Was it other? Did you find it offensive? How did you feel about it? Not critiquing the hook or what did the camera go out of focus? Don't care about none of that. How did you feel? Whether you watched it all the way or not. How was this suggestion? Did we do a good job or no? So based on what your audience says about your content, or people not even in your audience, they haven't hit the subscribe button yet. If they don't care about the stuff, why would they watch more? I can tell you from a consumer's perspective, subscriber count means nothing to me. Some of my favorite channels are well below 10,000 subscribers. I care nothing about the subscriber number. I care about getting the stuff that I actually want. And I've also been exposed to some channels where it seems like you're gonna talk about this kind of stuff, but now I go through the channel, I'm not saying anything around the one video that I found that maybe I liked. The one video was fine. I don't want to get recommended any more of this stuff, because I don't think you're gonna, it's been eons since you maybe uploaded a new video, and I mean like years, so it may be an old channel, and nothing other than that one video was something worth watching for me. So I'll go to my history, delete that view from the history, so that I don't get recommended that channel anymore. It's extensive, but at the same time, I'm just making sure I don't have to see a bunch of stuff that I don't want in my feed. So I curate that experience. When I see a bad video, really bad video by somebody, topic could be good, bad content, I don't ever want to see this channel again. Go to the history, delete it from the history, and that never gets recommended again. So it has nothing, the algorithm is based on people. The algorithm ain't against you. It's like, how can we get more people that likes this stuff? Which is why that inspiration tab on YouTube has updated so much. Saying LastPass equal compromised, unsafe platform, 1Password, note, Bitwarden. I'm saying something like, choose whatever floats your boat or finds your lost remote. They get the job done. So figure out whatever it is that you like for some kind of password, something, whatever. You do whatever you feel most comfortable with for as far as cybersecurity. You do whatever you feel is best for you. So go from there, and you know what I'm saying, see what's what. Saying my intent is to make appeal or appel. How would you say that? Because not an A, it's not PEAL. So appel, my main Apple. Brother, let me help you with the magic of Ecamm. So, because I'm thinking, so reason why I say that is because it is something new, for, like I said, in the food stuff. Let me help you with the magic of Ecamm. Shoot. I'm like, appeal. And I'm like, no, that's that food coding. And I'm like, why would that matter? Like, this is all the micro stuff. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. So I said, my intent is to make Apple my main thing. Now I took it off the screen. Make Apple my main music and video production platform. So a lot of third-party programs. Thanks for the advice. I'm prepared to dive in. Cool beans. So yeah, if Apple's gonna be the main squeeze, as it were, then you'll be fine. You'll be fine. All right, let's see what other questions we got. TR Hacker, good to see you. Glad you are here. Saying question thoughts on the Lumix S5 II, not the S5 2X, but the S5 II. Well, let's go over, because there's some minor differences between them, the S5 2X and the S5 II. So I'll show you or we'll go through it, and then we'll, I said Sony, Lumix. All right, so let's go on over to the interwebs and take a look, see, and bring everybody on the same page. So this came out before the S5 2X, so it was just the S5 II. So you're looking at 24.2, essentially 24 megapixel full frame sensor, 6K 30, 420 10-bit, Cinema 4K, 4K 60, 422 10-bit unlimited, which nearly all Lumix cameras since 2019 have been 2018 have been unlimited recording, good EVF, phase detection, so dual UHS2, whatever, weather sealing, more or less same camera, same price. But here's my thing with this one. Just because they put the X on the other one and it's like the blackout edition, blah blah blah, that is not the reason why I would or would not recommend this specific one. But anytime, I'll go back to this. I'm just showing the pictures of it because it's in just a second. It's going to be the same camera when I put the Lumix S5 2X for was it $200 more? You get all of the more recent updates. That's the difference for me. Specs more or less. Take a look. Exact same specs, more or less, same stuff, video wise anyway. So you look at the specs, camera body, same stuff, right? Nothing's really different on it or whatever. It's the insides or whatever that's different. To me, when I looked at the two differences, like especially when the S5 2X came out, when you look at this camera, it's $2,200. For $200 more, not only would you get the more recent updates, they're not going to. Lumix does a good job. Fuji does a good job. Nikon, I'm even finding, does a good job with firmware updates. But whatever the last camera was, is more prone, for any brand, is more prone to get the more recent updates. And because this one has sold better, the S5 2X, then even more so that they would be looking to add more stuff to it, in addition to the autofocus being better. Now, if you found an S5 II that more or less was like cheaper, it was like way cheaper, then yeah, sure, it doesn't make it a bad camera. But for me, the biggest gripe, that especially when this camera first dropped, just the S5 II, was autofocus reliability. Great because of the phase detection, autofocus, whatever, and you will see like, oh, it's so many people online saying that this works fine. When you're actually recording content with a piece of equipment regularly, every single day, day in, day out, doing all kinds of stuff, you see all kind of quirks with stuff, which is why I don't necessarily cover a piece of gear, like a review wise, as soon as it come out. 2 days later. Reason why you haven't seen like the 56mm y'all been looking at this entire stream, I didn't do a review on this yet, because I want to figure out the quirks. So I'm going to use it first and see what the quirks is. So a lot of times it's like, not to call people dishonest, because that's not the case, but usually most of the time you're trying to put the best foot forward, especially, you know, when you have a piece of content or whatever, you want it to do well, you want to get that affiliate income or whatever. Are you showing and sharing all of the different quirks? Did you run into sometimes the same issues based on how often you're using the gear? What I found with the Lumix cameras, when they started doing the phase detection, is just complete reliability. S5 2X solves that issue. and again, the newer updates. Again, because of it's selling well, even more of a reason that they will continue to add, you know what I'm saying, more to it. They ain't really thinking about the S5, S5 II. So unless you find it at a good price, there's nothing really wrong with the camera. At the end of the day, there's nothing really wrong with the camera. But unless you can find it at a super solid, amazing steal of a deal price, it does all the things that you need it to do to serve you well, and however you intend to use it, go for the gold. However, if it's solely because it's slightly different in price and it's slightly cheaper, don't let price dictate the future experience and problems that you're going to have. If you buying gear, it should solve a problem, not introduce new ones. So, prime example, and then I'll move on to the next question. People are like, should I get the ZV-10 Mark 1 or should I get the Mark 2? If you're looking brand new and you're paying the same price, or even if it was $100 more difference, whatever store you're looking at, always get the newer version. The A6400 versus ZV-10 video always does really well on my channel. People are like, I'm using this for video, which one should I get? Always get the newer version. It's always going to be better. Yes, the same sensor, more or less the same firmware system inside, more or less. They introduce new things, and especially when it does well and it sells better. Just get the new thing. You're going to have a way better experience. And when I say autofocus, I'm not saying like the box tracking. A box tracking your eye, and I've shown y'all this when I show you my exact settings live on the stream. If you go back a couple streams ago, you saw that. And I'll turn that on usually when somebody asks about it. We're not doing that today. But you'll see the eye autofocus box. A box staying on my face on the screen and me actually staying in focus are two different things. What a lot of those Lumix cameras would do, even Fuji still having issues with this. The box will be on the face, the crosshairs are on the face and in the eye. The focus is not keeping up. So, you know what I'm saying? That's the kind of stuff that you're looking at. You turn your head, you watching a video, not a review video. You're watching somebody that actually uses that camera day in, day out. They turn their head, it jumps to the bookcase. Now all of a sudden you don't have a face no more, apparently, when you go to the side. Fuji has that problem bad. Canon, the dual pixel autofocus 2 has that problem occasionally. And it jumps to the background instead of just staying on the person's face. So that's the kind of stuff where I'm like, if I'm doing this, you get an interview, you do whatever, I just don't want to play with autofocus. You know what I'm saying? Some stuff I just don't want to have to think about and worry about. Otherwise, stellar camera. Lumix does a great job. So I'm going to be buying it down. No. If you're going from Windows to Mac, no. You don't get into buying the dongles. You get you a hub and be done with it. I still use it was like the CalDigit TS3 something or another from whenever ago that I bought. It's been years now that I've had this. I just keep using it. Everything works. I bought a Mac Mini at the end of last year, but just do that. Don't not buy a Mac Mini. Well, you said a Mac. No, you don't. Just get a hub. End of the day, get a hub. Like a CalDigit works great. Get you one of those. I'm trying to pull this up in a second and see if I can find it. But let's see, the CalDigit. Were they up to TS4 now? Okay, so let's go. Let me see what's in my cart first. Sometimes Amazon be playing me. Okay, we're cool. Shoot. Like, would you like some more toenail clippers? Then like, don't show that. And so, so this is the CalDigit that I think I got the TS3 since I've had it from whenever ago, but they got the TS4 now with the updated stuff or whatever. But this has served me so well. I'll go to the TS3 since that's what I actually have. But this has served me so well. On the front, you actually have a pretty good and fast SD card reader. You have you do have a headphone port on here, but I don't use that because sometimes when you use, like, this is great for what it's designed for. This extra port is like if you only need it to monitor that audio is being heard versus truly using it as a headphone. For example, it would pick up so much noise in the room. The ceiling fan is on, stuff like that. The air conditioner kicks on. Okay, it's gonna pick up a bunch of noise, and I'm like, oh man, is it noisy in the stream? I don't want that. So that's one thing. The second camera feed that I've been using for the ZVE10 Mark 1, I was about to say 2, that's plugged in. So, and it is that small, like will fit in the palm of your hand kind of a deal. Only thing is, what do you need on the back? So these are the ports that you'll see on the back or whatever. The display port is the only thing. I do need to get a new monitor set up or whatever. I gotta make some updates or whatever. But the stream camera plugged into the Cal Digit when I'm dropping footage off SD cards. Not only that, but my SD card readers, and I will use the one that's in there. It actually is good. Ethernet. My streams, every time I'm doing anything, Ethernet. Internet, Ethernet always. So unless you need more, then you would look into doing something like that. But you get you something like this, you don't get into, let me just have Dongle City, or even those joints that just plug in on the side. Those are good for travel. But even I don't use that. So I'll send you the link, or I'll drop this in the chat, and you can grab one of these, or you can grab the 4 version if that is what floats your boat or finds your lost remote. But that's what I use, and I've been using since. And trust me, if y'all been around, for those of you that's been on the channel for a really long time, you will remember when we will be doing the Friday live help casts, and it would be like I would start looking real choppy, and then the stream would die because, you know, the docking station thing would die, and I'll say, you know what, I'm just going to get the Cal Digit thing and be done with it, and call it a day. And I did. Best decision ever. So I'll drop this in the chat for you for the Cal Digit one, at least the one that I use, and you can see what works best to serve you well out here in these real and digital streets. All right, let's move it on. Let me go up. All right, catching up to some of the questiones. Y'all see how she hit us with the camera switch on live? So professional. Why, thank you, my good sir. What is up, Chat Night Africa, recently on his show. So shout out to Chat Night Africa Divine, good to see you. Saying hi, Lady D. Believe it or not, my ZV-10 in English, my ZV-10 camera went dead 3 days ago after a firmware. I shut the camera as I usually off. The next day it did not come on. I put it on the charge, it did not work. I am so sorry to hear that. Really am. That I have burned a camera before. Wasn't due to a firmware update, but it was because of a drop. No, that wasn't because I dropped it. I dropped it and it survived. It was because of a third-party adapter, power adapter, when I had my Canon M50, and it burned it. I mean, instantly. It just wouldn't turn on, and that was like a couple $100 bill. So I empathize with that frustration. Here's a pro tip for me moving forward, and this is for everybody. When new firmware updates come out, even with the Mac, I don't care how reliable the company is, I never do them. Never. I never do them. I wait a really long time before I do them. You know why? Because stuff happens. Unfortunately, I'm not used to hearing that kind of a thing, but it has glitches in it. It has bugs in it. I don't want to be anybody's beta tester for, you know what I'm saying, something I'm using regularly. So I'll wait. Final Cut Pro updates come out, I'll wait. I'll at least wait a month, because a lot of times they'll have issues between that 4 to 6 week window when something first dropped for any firmware. I never do them. I never do them because I'm gonna let everybody else figure it out, and then I'll do it later. Because if it's not a fix that I actually need, if it's not something that's necessary, I can tell you right now, I've never updated my ZV-10. Never. Am I having it'll say, well, it fixes autofocus issues for whatever it is. And only thing I ever updated when it came out was the ZVE1, because it wasn't a firmware update. It was a license add-on. Little language difference that's probably going to mean something depending on what new cameras that everybody gets moving forward. It was a license add. It was not a true firmware upgrade. So it's slightly different. But you know, that sucks. See if you bought your camera brand new, you can see what the repair bill would be. And then if the repair bill is more Well, actually, if you're still under warranty, you should be okay. But if it's like if you bought it used or it's out of warranty, see what the repair bill cost is going to be. If it's $100 to $200, then fine or something like that. But if it's as much as a new camera would be, whether new or used, you do better just to buy a new or used camera. But I've never heard of it being that much, so it's just a flash firmware. But reach out to their support. They may be able to do something or give you something to download to revert it back. So it may be an easy fix, but you're gonna need to reach out to their support. But that sucks. That absolutely sucks. Saying the best chocolate is white chocolate. Church say amen. Amen. And amen again. Saying the wheel of wonder have mercy. Oh, the giveaway is not going to be, matter of fact, let me get into that real quick because it is super short. I am doing a giveaway on the channel. I waited to release the video on the regular Viltrox lens. That's the 20 millimeter. Let me show you guys that real quick. See, so this is the one I've been using for the last year or so. This is another one where when it first came out, it is super small, super lightweight. Viltrox is honestly, they're doing such a good job when it comes to camera gear and stuff like that. As far as lenses, they're doing such a good job. So they came out with this one. I like it, and I've been using it. It needed a firmware update because the autofocus needed some help, but they fixed it. And so they came out with a white chocolate edition, and this is what I'm giving away on the channel. And so in that video, and this is a full frame lens, which is why you see that FE. So this is the white edition, still in the box, never opened. I am going to have to open it to cover it on the channel, but then I will reseal it and then mail it out to whoever wants this that lives in the US. I'll get that mailed out to you once we do the giveaway in that video. So giving away the Viltrox 20 millimeter f2.8. It is a full frame one. So if you got a full frame camera like the ZVE1 or the A7 IV, whatever floats your boat to find your lost remote, or if you got a ZVE10, A6700, it'll work on that as well. And it is really small, like regular APS-C lenses. It just so happens to be full frame. I like that a lot. My only gripe. What does that filter thread say? 43.3 millimeters. So to use this with my 67 millimeter thread, I would have to use a step-up ring. I lost one of my step-up rings, so now I have to repurchase it on Amazon, which is not that big of a deal. But it's a 43.3 filter thread, so if you use indie filters or what have you, then you are going to want to get a step-up ring. But I'm going to be giving away the Viltrox 20 millimeter f2.8 lens, and then, like I was sharing earlier, they also sent me the 56 millimeter f1.7, but this one's staying in-house. So that's the one that you've been looking at for this entire stream, which is why, like I said, I like to try gear out. I like to put it to the test, because is it going to like pulse, or is it going to do a lot of bouncing? Like the Rodecaster Samyang lens that I like, 12 millimeter f2.8 lens, f2 lens. You get close to the side edge or something like that, that autofocus motor in that lens starts to jump. But it's okay for what I use it for. What is up, Kevin Cox in the building saying hello? Well, hello. Saying 56 millimeter got you looking great. I was with Canon, but switched to Sony. That someone blessed me with after my Canon was stolen. Dang, people be stealing, and they ought be beat. Flat out. People be stealing, and they ought be beat. So I hate to hear that happen to you. But you had a shoot a month ago. But yes, I'm a couple shades darker. So yeah, even with your like I said, slightly darker hue. So, and this is even, my tan is starting to wear off for the most part. It looks more golden or whatever because of the way I have my footage or whatever. But your white balance contributes to that quite a bit as well. But yeah, you just good lighting, a good lens. And if you want a blurry background and you have some background behind you to blur, then a good prime works as well. Sigma 16 is a good lens. It's a go-to for that. especially with the Sony a6100, it'll look really good. Saying thanks for your help, and yes, I noticed that Sony colors are different from Canon. Big difference. The main difference for those of us of a darker hue, Canon shifts the skin tone hue if you just go in standard like picture profile or whatever, which I never did. I did a different one. What was it that I used? I can't remember what they're called now, but I didn't use standard because I didn't like that. I used something that's more close to like a natural one, and then like slight correction to that. But there's a video I did on the A6100, more or less the same stuff. The small difference, which is why I said white balance makes a huge difference, and then there are some small things you can do in your camera to get closer to that. Straight out I don't do a whole lot to my image. I really don't. But what was I saying? Canon goes closer to a yellow hue skin tone, which pulls out more what always hear people say, natural skin tone, and so you get used to that. And so it's not in the green tint, but it is more into the yellow tint for the skin tone, so that bronzeness in our skin comes out a little bit better. However, when you go to Sony, because in the recent years they have put more of an emphasis on making sure it looks better for multiple shades of skin. Even you'll hear this with smartphone manufacturers or whatever. Now they're showing a much more diverse group of shades of skin tones. And so what you'll find with Sony is that instead of it going towards that yellow hue tint, it goes closer to a reddish hue tint, which for me, I just slightly dial down a little bit with the white balance, so that the pinks in it's not a red, it's more of a pink in my skin tones that are naturally there, like my lips, that pops. That natural pinkish hue in my skin looks normal, and so that gold now can show a little bit better. So maybe a little too technical depending on where you are, but that's all it is. Canon shifts more to the yellow. Sony has traditionally shifted more to the red, but now they're very extremely close, but there is still a slight difference that I find most people like with Canon still. But I'll definitely tell you, when I did my side-by-sides for myself, looking at the footage and stuff like that, I'm like, I really grew to like the way Sony represents my skin tone, because it looks extremely natural, which is I'm not that yellow compared to the way Canon look. But it's just a preference at that point. So now all my videos are made with the Sony 1650 kit lens. I love how stuff looks. Yes, I don't think it's perfect, but I'm coming from much worse, which most of us usually are. Saying the magic is in the seasoning. That's what I'm saying. Saying the switch from dry to fresh herbs makes it so much easier in the salt intake. You know what? That's a great point. Just talking about food and stuff earlier, I hadn't really considered that, because I'm not a fresh herbs kind of a person or whatever, but like the more I'm cooking my own meals and stuff, that'd be something interesting to try. The reason why I never would personally is because, and I probably have to go where I can put however much I want, the quantities would just be too much. So it's like, if I need this much sage, or if I need this much, whatever, then it's like, I only just need a little bit. I don't need these big old globs of whatever. So that's why I always go with that. But interesting. Saying you can input all of the info about how far from the camera, how much space behind, and what camera and lens, and it gives a simulation of what it looks like as a preview image. When, where, and what are we referring to? Yeah, what are we referring to? I know we talked about the lens, but I mean, what specifically there? So let me know, Kevin. Question: does Ecamm have a yearly or a perpetual license? So you missed that window. That's why I switched to Mac. What was that, like 2017? They used to. Guess what it used to cost? Guess what the investment in Ecamm universe was back in the day? It used to be $37. It's like $27 to $37. You missed it. Should have been there. But then it went to $67, and that's when I jumped in. I'm like, they finna switch to getting ready to pull up the what's name so I can show you, and then I got something for you on that note as well. So was it Ecamm.live? Yeah, it used to be like $37, and that was a perpetual license. you own it forever, but not anymore. So what you have now, when you go over to the great amazingness that is Ecamm Live, pricing wise for all of this is, for the yearly, they do have this. You can do the trial 14 days, but hold on for a second. You have that, and it'll be $16 a month, $192 a year. Or you can do the pro. I do recommend using the pro just to get all the nooks and crannies of the stuff that comes out. And if you're not subscribed to the Ecamm Live YouTube channel, absolutely do that, because Ken and Glenn, the founders and creators of Ecamm, like, we request stuff and be like, oh man, we wish we could do, for example, one of my things that I wanted became a new feature. Several stuff. I did alpha and beta testing with Ecamm for years. Still do some beta testing for some stuff, but for years, just be like, hey, what about if we do this? Then be like, okay, what's the use case for that? Say what the use case, like, yeah, we can do that. Next update, a couple weeks later, is there. So that works. But yeah, this is what it is annual. This is what it is for monthly. The trial, when you go directly to the website, is only for 14 days. But because I am a lover of all things Ecamm, I'm going to give you my link to use, and then I'm going to give you, which is an affiliate link, and then I'm going to give you my code to use, and that'll get you 2 months for free using Ecamm Live. So once I drop this in the chat, and then I'll give you the what's his face, the code, and I'll drop that in the chat as well, so you can just copy and paste. That'll get you 2 months for free. Use the promo code Diana, the number 2 MOS, as shown here and then here. So that's what you want to do. Actually, you know what? I don't want to put the code up twice, but I do want to put the link. So that's what you need. Diana.link/Ecamm, then the promo code Diana2MOS, the number 2 MOS, and that'll get you 2 months for your free trial. So that way you can get your stuff set up, get your stuff lined in, and that will be like all the stuff you can use on Pro that you'll be able to test and try out. And then that way you get to go. You can like get all your stuff set up. And then if you find you don't need Pro for some reason, then you know that you only need whatever. But that way you get 2 months for that, and that'll work for you. And if there's something about Ecamm that you have, I'm getting ready to actually drop a new series on Ecamm on my channel. Last one I did was on Ecamm, was a course that I recorded and I did for him. It was called Ecamm Simplified, which is still amazing. But I'm getting ready to do some different stuff with that as well. All right. So let me scroll up to the what. OWC Thunderbolt docks and the hubs are solid as well if the cal digits aren't available. I tried OWC and I'm trying to line this up, so that's why I'm moving it. Okay, I just needed to be center. I tried the OWC ones, and the problem with that was with the basic stuff. I think I'm a pretty basic streamer, as far as setup and stuff like that. Very systemized, streamlined creator, and that thing would die. My stream could not, the footage, the live stream still exists. It would die. And they just like, if the computer's dying, it wouldn't send, which was the problem. It was not transferring power with the proper cables in the proper ports. It was not transferring power to the computer. The computer would die because I was using my MacBook Pro. And I'm like, what is the problem? And so I had to unplug it. So I couldn't do power delivery from the OWC thing. I had to do power delivery just straight from the big power brick or whatever. And I'm like, this sucks. So that's not what I want. I want a streamlined, systemized, efficient setup. Even though it's simple, streamlined and efficient setup. And so I got rid of it. I tried, it didn't work for me, my experience. If your experience is great, fantastic. I just personally am like, no. And I tried with 2 different ones from them. Doc even had some stuff from them as well. So yeah. Okay. JFK said, I disagree with getting the newer version simply because of shipping costs, but if you got that cash, agree. Again, it's a little different because you in, I think you said Jamaica. It's a little different because you're in Jamaica. Over here in the US, we don't have shipping costs like that. Most of the time, shipping is free with most stuff over $75 or $100. We don't have to deal with, internal tariffs type stuff. So it's different for each region. Like I saw, it's like somebody on the newsletter. Oh, that I didn't even tell y'all about yet. I forgot that was only an internal release. But I'll share with that with that in English. I'll share that with you in just a second. But yeah, we don't have that stuff over here. So it's different when you are overseas. And depending on where you are in your specific country, what it takes for you to get camera gear, whatever. Like I know that's been like a constant, pain point throughout your creative experience and stuff like that. But overall, majority of my audience is from the US. So you want to order something, you get that stuff same day, if not the next day, or within 2 days shipping. And then because of the price of it being, sometimes it's $50, $75, $100 over that spending limit, you get free shipping depending on the store. So most stores have at least $100, but some are like, you spend more than $50, $75, we do shipping for free. So that's not something that we have to worry about. It's more like sales tax, if anything, you know what I'm saying, depending on what you're doing. So that's a unique situation there. Let me catch back up. All right. Got that one. Magic. Okay. Got it. Magic Season. Okay, got it. Okay, got that question. Diving into Mac world means leaving Adobe and OBS behind. You don't have to. If that's what you like and that's what you use, you can go for the gold. But like I said, the main reason I switched to Mac is because it was Ecamm Live and Final Cut Pro, period. I knew both of those had the potential. And once Ecamm switched from like a perpetual license for $37, it's like $67. I'm watching all the market trends. All perpetual licenses started switching to subscription models. I'm like, I am not waiting until this flips to subscription, because everything was like, date me if you want to, you know what I'm saying, age wise. But I remember going to the store and you could just buy CDs of software programs, and then you just owned it. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, and you might get updates or whatever, but it wasn't the internet being what it is today. So you go to the store, like Office Depot or something, buy the software, and that was the software. So maybe aging myself a little bit there, but so I get it with a perpetual license, but I got grandfathered in. That was the cool thing with Ecamm. If you bought it under the perpetual license, you got grandfathered in. Get it today. Welcome to the subscription game. It's worth it though. If I didn't have it, I still would buy it. I'm 100% honest. I would still buy it because it's made me more money than I would have spent on it in the years since I've used it personally. So when you start cooking over here, I'm gonna have to officially know that hell hot St. Louis heat that has affected you and has kicked in. Let me tell y'all something. I do cook quite well. However, I will say, I prefer doing more. If I'm going to like make something, I like making desserts, because it ain't that pressure of like somebody comparing your macaroni and cheese to their great grandma's macaroni and cheese. I don't got time to be lineage fighting, you know what I'm saying, level cooking. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so I don't get into the lineage battles. And it's like, I like doing desserts and stuff, but no, we not on the channel though. Saying thank you Ecamm for the magical undo. Saying I learned that Ecamm feature last week. Have been using it in full force. It is amazing. Saying, as everyone remember to hit that like button. That's what I'm talking about. Hit the like button. Saying, to be honest, I'm gonna be buying hubs, adapters, dongles, simply because it's a music studio with a lot, and I mean a lot of connections. Couch is just too small. It's other stuff out there. Again, this is coming from my setup, but it is other stuff out there. But you need to also consider, I know you're getting a good computer already with the Mac or whatever. Go to probably a music-based channel, look at what they're using, or ask them what they're using, specifically if they are doing the kind of stuff that you want to do, and see what exists for that space. Music instruments really ain't all that when it comes to some things. Honestly, I was talking about the Rodecaster video in the description, but that just came out. I don't know if, I doubt they do that on Amazon. So let's go to the Rodecaster video. I'm just saying this as an example. They dropped this. Let's do. So they recently released this, and this is something where if I go to the back of this device. This is something where when you're getting into stuff, you have the mixing and stuff like that, and you look at what other musicians are using, you're going to look into more proprietary tools for what you're trying to do. You already got a studio gear. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the thing that helps you do all the things that make you efficient. So something like this that just came out, now you're not using a bunch of capture cards, dongles, and whatever. You're simply running HDMI. Granted, this is a 1080p machine, but you also can have that. Or you're looking at something where it may be, if you have a Rodecaster Pro, you have that linked to whatever your setup is audio-wise, and that's controlling a lot of audio stuff. And then you may have something like this for all of the video stuff. So this is recently came out, like barely a week ago. But you can have USB microphones. You can have XLR microphones, at least 2 channels that way, with that quarter adapter there as well. This looks dope. So I like that this came out. This solves a unique issue for some stuff. I still have my concerns around, honestly, not long-term reliability, but just out the gate reliability. Because like the Streamer X, for example, that was just one capture card solution. Even though it was at 4K, it just was more problematic, I'll put it that way. But this is, again, an example of like a good proprietary tool or something that would work. But this just came out, and there's other stuff on the market like this as well. But I definitely say go see what other musicians are using and what are they doing for their whole studio setups, and that'll give you insights into how to do that. All right, since the Techie has great portable hubs for a MacBook. Haven't looked into that, but good to know. All right. Saying although I got to sort through music gear with future planning in mind, audio interfaces, and Thunderbolt, but a lot of USB-A keyboards. Depending on what you're doing, wired could be better. I use Bluetooth simply to cut down on stuff that needs to be cut down on. I've never had a delay issue for, you know what I'm saying? I'm typing and it charges via USB-C, which makes my life so much easier, especially like over a weekend or something, if I need to charge it. But it feels like weeks and weeks and weeks before I just think like, oh, let me just put it on the charger just to go ahead and top it off. But I don't recall recently ever hitting a space where with this keyboard, I'm like, dang, my keyboard died. It's more the mouse more than anything else, because it's take AAA batteries, 2 of those, and even then that takes a long time. So it just depends. Saying the best investment, I listened to Doc and bought that CalDigit. It does the job. Question: considering like maybe a 10 to 12 port powered USB-C hub, just because the port is there, what is it doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, one, make sure the processing power is where you need it to be, because just because it can be plugged in doesn't mean you're going to get the expected performance that you're hoping to get. It's a difference. So I will say also too, what is the actual load on your computer? If you go to a music store or something like that, or something, see if they have a rental, or either go to, I'm curious if even Lens Rentals may have it, because they do have stuff at times where you can do studio and audio type stuff. So let's go over to Lens Rentals and take a look-see, because they have some production stuff. I'm just curious. So that's Hollyland is a good idea now that I'm thinking about it. Let's just go to audio, see what's in audio. Because again, I don't know what you would need, but I'm just curious if they would have it. Wireless channel transmitter, like that. Just looking around. Not necessarily. So these are different kind of stuff, but if you can rent something and test it first, I would say do that and see what you can get out out of what you're doing, and see in a live production with what you're trying to do, how would that work? Just don't have what I thought it was. Let's go to production. Let's go. What do they have in rigging? I think it would be more audio stuff for what you're looking for specifically. But yeah, it's like you, depending on what you would need, you may be able to find it. Or if you ask them or something like that, media storage. Nah. But yeah, I am curious if they might have something. See what they got in switching, and then we'll move on. Video hub. Yeah, this is more in alignment with what I'm thinking about. Oh, there's a bunch of SDI though. But it just depends though. But yeah, just see what's out there, like for what you would need or what may work best for what you're trying to do. Ask a musician that is actually doing what you're trying to do. Like I said, that Rodecaster video, that's 1080p. Because most people don't know what they're asking for. They're like, oh, it should have been 4K, 10-bit, whatever. And it's like, yeah, okay, your computer can't handle it. 9 times out of 10 people, almost 10 out of 10 people, computer can't handle it. You know what I'm saying? So see what the actual processing power for what you're trying to do is going to be. If you can rent it and test it and thoroughly test it, see what it looks like. What kind of delays are you looking for? What kind of quirks? What kind of cables need to be updated that may have been fine on your previous machine, but it's like now you need to, you know, switch it up for better performance sake, longevity wise, and get new stuff. So I can't answer that specifically, but I will say this, like same base rules apply. If CalDigit is not going to work, go see what overall hub type structure and system setups, because honestly, some stuff is a 2 computer setup. It's not a 1 computer setup. And that's the thing, like it gets more into production-ish type work. Some stuff is a 2 camera setup, not 2 camera setup. It's a 2 computer setup. It's not a 1 computer setup. Even with a great, fantastic Mac, it's still a 2 computer setup. It's not a 1 computer setup, simply to spread the load. So just see that. I don't know what I don't know what you're looking into, but just see what's what. Saying better I get into the ZV-10 Mark 1 or ZV-10 Mark 2 for the price. If you have to buy a new one, if the price is going to be, which I can't see them flashing firmware, usually that's only like $200 or $300. So if you simply want to repair your camera, that probably is the cheapest route. But if it now is just now opening the door to get something new, get the Mark II, because then you won't have to update it again. Same stuff that you want to do with your camera, the same settings that you've had, that you've been using to kind of tweak and dial your stuff in, your settings in, and all that jazz, more or less will still be the same. So even all the tips, advice as far as like honing in that image and stuff that we talked about before, still gonna be the same. You're just gonna have access to a higher ceiling of creativity with the stuff that you can do. That's all. So I would say get the Mark II. So now I've been needing a wide angle lens, hoping to make that purchase this winter. I hear you. Saying Camera Jim talking about the lens, saying nice, 43.3. What the freak? Yeah, it's a weird range, but it's cool compared to. Let me show this one and this one. So this is put this one up first. So this is the Tamron 20mm, and I like this best for if I need to do a wide close-up shot, because they don't have, number one, it doesn't have a bunch of stuff on it, the front of it for the focal length, but this 67mm focal thread, as well as the Sigma 16 f1.4. It's a 67mm focal thread, but this now it's like 43, so I would need a step-up ring just to be able to swap accessories, if you will, for the lenses. So it's fine, I guess. But it's like for $180, and you get a good sharp lens. See what the quality of the image of the lenses look like. It looks good. I like it a lot for what it is, and actually using it solidly. Did a project with it. I like it a lot. I like what they're doing with their stuff. Viltrox is doing what Ulanzi did, and prior to that, what Small Rig did, which was drastically improve their branding so that they aren't like the cheap brand that people think about. They're the brand that they're like, oh no, it's legit. You know what I'm saying? So when you switch to, let's go here. when you switch to their lenses, it doesn't feel like, no, I'm saying, my bad, I said 43.3. It's not, it's 52, which is why I was saying I was mad that I messed it up and lost the what's name. My apologies. I said 43.3. I'm looking at the wrong number. It's 42, not 42, 52 millimeter focal thread for this lens. Same one with the white one. It's going to be the same. Still going to be the same. So nothing's changed other than the color. But 52 is still wild. Like, that's still wild to me. I have to do, I still have to get another step up ring because that was the one that I lost. But all gravy. So that's hella random. Kit lenses have a hella random one too, but it's a 53. My apologies, looked at the wrong number, 53. What is up, April K Productions? Good to see you, glad that you're here. Saying nice, my white chocolate ZV-10 would love this lens. Well, when we drop the video next week and we include said lens in the giveaway, obviously we only got the one, so somebody can get this lens for free. I'll take care of the shipping, and I'll send it out. But I asked them, I'm like, I don't just want a lens for me. I'm like, yeah, I'll take the 56, but I was like, I like the 20 already. I'm like, send me one of these so I can give it away. And it was like, okay, cool. They did. So other than me opening it to show it, because the performance is going to be the same, get some B-roll shots of it and whatnot, I'll put it back, wipe it off, put it back, and send it out. Sam in the building, good to see you. Saying, hi Diana, can you show us how you do those changes to the Sony camera to fix or to fit the black and brown skin, please? Lighting, white balance, slight tweak in the camera. Sam, I feel like every time you come to the stream, you have me do something I did not plan on doing for that day. Let's see if we can. Okay, question. 1 for yes, 2 for no. Should I show you my camera setting stuff? I'm gonna do it on the ZV-E10 because the what's the name of one is too far right now. It's like an extra foot, but it's not that big of a deal. So I can do it. I can show you what that would look like on the ZV-10 Mark I, more or less the same stuff. Except now I've been using like the S setting tone, which is fine. But I'll show you the ZV-10 Mark I is hooked up. Just would need to put the different lens on there, which we have an abundance of right now. So do you want to see 1 for yes, 2 for no, what I do just to get more or less the same kind of a look out of camera that I use? Because I use the ZV-10 Mark I for eons. The A6100, I had that in the office, did a video on that, owned the 6400 since 2019. A6600 since 2019, I think, as well. So if y'all want to see, we can do it live, or if you're asking for a video on it, sure, but let me know. 1 for yes, 2 for no. So throw it in the chat, hit the like button as well if you're getting some love. But this is the question on the board: 1 for yes, 2 for no. How to do those changes to fit black and brown skin tones. And I'm not a colorist or nothing like that, so it's not about doing some exorbitant color grading or whatever the case is. And my other comment got deleted, but it's a depth of field. See, somebody else said something about a comment getting deleted. Unless a moderator in the chat removed something for some reason, or it got flagged for language automatically just based on the channel filters, that's the only reason something would get. But I haven't had any flagged comments or whatever. Most people on the channel are chill, so I didn't see it. So I said my other comment got deleted, but it's about the depth of field simulator. Is it a specific one you used, Kevin? Let me know. Saying that's the benefit of growing your own herbs. You can harvest only what you need, less waste and way cheaper. Interesting. I may have to check your channel out, my brother. May have to say that ship didn't sail. All right. Depth of field sim. Okay, what Kevin said. All righty, let's take a look. In English. Thank you, Mr. Camera Junkie. Appreciate that. Let's do a look-see. All right, so first of all, this woman does not look like me. No, but let's see. So this is the depth of field simulator. 1 for yes, 2 for no on that other question that was asked previously, and then we'll see. So let's go. We're gonna go. I'm gonna put this out here right now. I miss APS-H being a thing. I thought Canon was going to bring this back and they didn't. That's drastically missing in the world. APS-H and not APS-C. APS-H could have dominated the creator space. I hope somebody from Canon hears this, or like APS-H instead of APS-C. APS-H would have dominated. Anyway, let's go. We're just gonna do base. What are we? APS-C? No. Yeah, this is APS-C lens. So this is 35, and you can kind of see, which unless she's standing on a roof, you shouldn't see all of that. So about yonder, somewhere in this ballpark, put it like there. And then let's do, oh, dang, I changed it. So about a 2.7. And then let's see what else. Constant focal length means it's a, what's the name of? So interesting. Woman number 2. Who does she look like? Jean Grey? And so we'll stick with Jean Grey, even though she's the laziest X-Men that there is. City. Yeah, that looks weird. We'll stick with whatever we had, which was building. No, that looks terrible too. Wherever she was at. Park? Was she at the park? I don't know where she was at before. All of that looks weird. Mountains. She was like on top of a building. Yeah, whatever. Anyway. Portrait. Okay, so this is cool. Depth of field simulator. Okay, interesting. Let's see what they got for Sigma. Focal length, we're going to do the Sigma 16. Again, the difference with this is, though, again, it's a depth of field simulator. You still need to account for the minimum focusing distance of the lens. How far or how close do you need to be for you to be in focus? And then the other thing that you need to account for is like the framing that you want. The depth of field simulator is fantastic just to see how close you are to the background or whatever. Then you would need to, then that'll give you some perspective of how close or whatever. So this is cool. Okay. Did not know that this was a thing. So this will give you some example of how close or how far away that person is from the camera instead of it being like a photographer. So that's cool. Good to know. Glad y'all shared this with me. Kudos to the Glad gang out here in these real and digital. What is up with my English this fine day? All right. Didn't mean to pull that up, but that's a good comment. All right. Packing suitcase, moving to America. Welcome to the gang. So I'm already looking at Final Cut because it's optimized. And Adobe is a bunch of scumbags. I mean, the only thing is that you just don't get as many updates as some of the other stuff, but I'm not getting into that. That's a loaded cannon. Below would be too much. The studio, there's a few keyboards. You're just gonna have to streamline your workflow, brother. Okay, one for yes. Saying I think a video would be easier, so that'd be a 2. To go back and find over and over. Saying hi gang, just listening. What's up, Stephanie? Good to see you. Joshua Verwer's in the build IA. Can you record externally to an SSD on the ZV-10? Nope, not possible. Well, take this back. Could be possible, not a feature that's available. But no, you cannot. That's only a feature that you usually see on a more expensive camera. Price is not the only thing. It's the intended audience for that camera as well. Saying it's the conversations that have my mind going with questions. Now I said, nope, ZV-10 doesn't support external SSD, and I hate that because that's okay. It might be a way around that here soon, but I'm hoping to test that first before I just blurt out a possibility. Saying, well, in that case, I must buy a 1 terabyte memory SD card or memory card. Well, no. Oh, whoa, stop the press. A 1 terabyte memory card? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. For no reason. Under no circumstances, Octavian, no. Under no circumstances do you need to do that. Absolutely not. Let me tell you why. I'm not gonna get on my soapbox, but I will put my toe on it for about 2.32 seconds, okay? Under no circumstances, for any shoot, almost for any reason, do you want to, should you use ever a 1 terabyte SD card? And I say that because unless you're using something where, even on the longest shoot days that I've had, unless you're doing a high bit rate, high frame rate, like not high frame rate per se, it varies, but high resolution, data hungry record session, then, and I mean like 6K 24 to 500 something, you know what I'm saying, level bit rate, like just 10-bit type, you know what I'm saying, like extensive, then a 1 terabyte SD card makes more sense, because you're still only getting so much recording done on that. If you own something like a Sony ZV-E10, don't matter which one, A6700, even the ZV-E1 or A7 IV, or even an FX3, it does not make sense. Take the FX3 maybe off the list a little bit, but even still, for probably most people's use case, even with that, it doesn't make sense to get a 1 terabyte for everything A7 IV on down, A7S3 on down. It doesn't make sense to get a 1 terabyte SD card, because imagine this. You say, amazing, I can get a terabyte, 1,000, that's 1,000 gigabytes for those of you that don't know. I can get 1,000 gigabytes on 1 SD card, and we can record, like now it's like a live, we can do a wedding, we can do the whole wedding on 1 SD card. We can do the whole shoot day, like the safety cam that's doing the wide shot. We can do that all day. We got 2 SD cards slots for whatever camera, you know what I'm saying? One is just recording all day, everything. What happens if it's not something like, because most people are referring to that SanDisk 1 terabyte card, which I use SanDisk. Got some on the desk right now that I like to use. And I buy them regularly. So 1 terabyte, 1,000 gigabytes all day. What happens when you drop that card and something happens, or it cracks and they separate, as they often do, and now that card is corrupt and you've lost the entire day's shoot? Now what? Now what you gonna do? A whole day's shoot is gone. Let's say you put, even if you don't do the whole day, let's say you do 6-7 hours of a multi-day shoot. What you gonna do with 6-7 hours worth of lost footage that cannot be repeated? Or a client that paid for it, finally got their lines right, finally did the commercial right, finally got the energy. Or if you had 2-person shoot where they're like, you've recorded an event, it like the most amazing, what happens when that card goes corrupt? Or if it don't even go corrupt, it just gets worn down on the day you need it and it separates. Ask me how I know, because your basic 256, 512 gigabyte SD cards do that. At no time should you be using a 1 terabyte SD card. I say this in love, because you need to have at max 2, 3, maybe 4 hours on 1 SD cards. I stop at 2.5 to 3 hours on the most. And then I pull that card, because I clock it. Most of those 512, 256 cards, you're getting, even in 4K, you're still getting hours worth of recording on it. So I'm not maxing the card, I'm just pulling it down, especially doing breaks, stuff like that. Okay, you'll have bio breaks and all that. I pull that footage down, I flip that SD card over after I drop it off to SSD number 1, and then that card goes away for the rest of the shoot. It don't get touched again. It now becomes a safety backup. We have the storage, and then overnight I upload that to the cloud, because 2 is 1 and 1 is none. If it can't even make it past step 1 on the card and it has the possibility of failure, I absolutely would not recommend doing 1 terabyte. It ain't worth it. At no time is it worth it, unless you're putting that in not computer, unless you're putting that in and then 2, you got, now I'm putting my whole foot on the soapbox. Forget it. Put my whole foot on the soapbox. And then 2, your data transfer time frames are finna be gross. Atrocious. Atrocious, with the best ports, the best computer, the best internet speeds that money can buy in your area. Finna be atrocious. How long it take to send that footage over? Atrocious. On one SD card, you gonna trust out on it? Absolutely not. Don't recommend it. Don't touch it with a 10-foot pole unless your camera is one that is sending a lot of that, and it may be out of that 1 terabyte, you're getting 2 hours or something like that. Then that's fine. Because even then, you're withholding to that same data. Does that make sense? You know what I'm saying? So like, I promise you, Octavian, save your future self the problem. It ain't about doing nothing. 4K 24 podcasts back to back, under no circumstances. I do 4K. This is not in 4K today because it was intended to go to LinkedIn, and then it was an issue with LinkedIn, so it just stayed at 1080p. My streams I do everything in 4K. My streams are in 4K. My content is recorded in 4K, and when I got the ZVE1, I switched to 4K 10-bit just to get the data workflow in alignment and get used to working with those larger files. It was hell, absolute hell for my video editor to figure out and to deal with the processing, because now it's like, that's why I said people don't know what they asking for. When they was talking about the Rodecaster video should have been 4K 10-bit output, it's like, absolutely not. Because then people will be like, man, this thing crashed my computer, it won't work. At 4K, I'm gonna put one in this camera right here, the ZV-10 Mark I. Actually, yeah, I can pull this down. And y'all said 1. We ain't get enough votes. We ain't get enough votes for if I should do the settings live, so we're not going to. Because I only saw like, what, 3 or 4? It's not enough votes. So unless we get enough votes to say, yes, do settings live, we're not doing settings live. And this is a 3, what am I? Yeah, at 4K 24 on a ZVE10, that is almost 4 hours, because I think I got some footage on here. On a 256 gigabyte SD card, that's 4 hours of 4K 24. Even with my ZVE1, my full frame 10-bit camera, when I'm doing a project, I'm doing something specific that has higher data requirement limits, we're trying to do something that will be for longevity's sake, I'm still doing 4K 10-bit. Let me get this camera back up here. There we go. I'm still doing 4K 24 10-bit max thing, and 4K 60, 4K 120 mixed in between. And I still only need 256 and 512 gigabyte SD cards. You do not need to touch 1 terabyte. I promise you, you don't want to. Your future self will be mad for not adhering to this. Try it if you want to. Try it if you want to. And your future self will share with you why that was not ideal. So let me see. 1, 2. That was 2 people. There's 3 people. See me. So we got 1 person here. There's 2 for Sam. 3 for Joshua Verwers. It's not enough. There was 3 votes. And then we had 1 for no. So it's not enough. It's not enough. You want to see the cameras? It's not enough votes. So there, that's that. And then Kevin said, like, vote for that. So yeah, nah, not enough. Let's see here. Let me catch up to the chat. And let me bring this down and line it back up in the center, because that annoys me like nobody's business. Where's the line? Wait, where is the line? Why I'm not hit? There it is. I have to hit the center part. It's like, anybody else have those little OCD moments? Where is it? Oh, I see it and then it doesn't go there. There it is. All right. That annoys me so much. I'm not even joking. And it's not centered still. The line won't stay up long enough. That bugs me so bad. I'm gonna have to get close to it then. What's an ever? So just hopping in for a bit. What's with the vignette? Did Diana finally get that 10-18? Nope, this was the 56 millimeter f1.7. I was just showing what it looks like. So it's this lens that they sent. So this is what's on there. I was showing it so you can see the full vignette when it's on full frame. So that's what that is. So this is Viltrox 56 f1.7. And so that's why you see it. I could get rid of it with the magic of Ecamm, but I'm not worried about it. Not today. All right. Let's see here. Saying connect the ZV-10 to a computer via capture card and record to the computer, which we all do. That's one way. That's not the way I'm talking about. So it's like, which we all already kind of do to a point, but yeah. Saying 4K 20, Octavian, speaking from experience, brother, I'm trying to tell you. Saying I wouldn't want to use that much footage of that card where I'm telling you, saying I'm now about to buy the Sony FX30 for the main camera. That's fine. I got the same specs on my camera. I'm telling you, from doing actual multi-day shoots, even at the highest that the camera can do, you would have to be doing 4K 120 on like at the highest bit rate and data rates on that camera in order to even get close to which we would never do. You know what I'm saying? We would never do. You'll mostly use 4K 24 with 4K 60 and 4K 120 sprinkled in between. Even if you like, there's no rhyme or reason for that long. Get a client that pays you up front and tell them you lost 3 days batch record that they did. The content was solid. Everything was amazing. The guest flew in from out of town. Tell them that the footage is lost. Not that the audio got messed up. Not that we lost one of the angles for 2 to 3 minutes because maybe your battery died or something, and you know what I'm saying, or the cable got unplugged, somebody tripped on it that was on their staff and team. Not nothing like that. Not some little old something. Happenstance something. Tell them you lost the 3 days worth of footage. See what happened. Which, thank God, has never happened to me. But I'm telling you, if I ain't nothing else, I'm a systems and efficiency kind of creator. And I promise you, it ain't worth it. Saying I got a 128 gigabyte card in my ZV-10 and she'd be doing great. Might go up to that 512. 512 is the most that I want to touch on any point. So I'm using PNY card. I only use SanDisk, and the Sony Tough cards are great if you want just like that or whatever, but I rotate my storage out once a year. Everything transitions in phases, but I don't touch them. Saying, lady, thank you for being a guest on Chat Night Africa. You were phenomenal, and my audience have been talking about your 5-star performance. Why, thank you so much. Glad to be of service, and it was fun to be on the stream. Saying, thank you very much. You saved me a lot of money. You're most welcome. Glad to be of service. Saying, my Windows PC struggled to edit 4K. Gonna have a blast with that Apple M2. So I will share with you the one video that I did on the channel about proxy modes, which is, I think for most of y'all not really touching 4K like that, or you don't know what that really means for why it's not like part of your regular conversation. But you need to. Like, you need to get in with this. You need to get into this. This is the video. I even did a little short from, I think that was pulled from that video, but this goes into, you might love making your content production space, I'll let this roll in the background, that much easier, because you can do the 422 10-bit. I like to use that just real quick, Octavian, since it came up on the thing. I do like to use that HS. So unless you need to do something higher than that, the HS is great. You can still do that 422 10-bit. Again, just to test your workflow, especially if that FX30 is going to be brand new to you. But what I talk about in this video is I show you how to use the in-camera Sony proxy files so that you don't have to worry about anything with big files and editing. That should not even be a thing where you're struggling to edit your footage because you pulled in the full raw file and you're trying to edit that. You shouldn't be doing that. You should be using the proxy files. Your camera already can make them in your camera. It's the beauty of Sony. Lumix put everybody on game on that as well. Could be wrong, but I think they did it first. So I'm gonna share this link to this video so y'all can see this, and y'all need to get into that big time. If you are struggling with your content, editing, trying to pull that full file, even if you are doing like 1080p or 4K, base 4K on a ZV-10, nothing special per se, but the files are large and your video is kind of like, it's like choppy or whatever, then still use proxy files. It's the best thing since sliced bread. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the best thing. You have a really, 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 really small file that you can edit from, do all the edits from, and then when you get ready to export, then you're golden. It's the best thing. It is the best thing. Another one for one, it's not enough. Not enough. That's what, 4 or 5 people maybe. Saying do a video. Okay, that's another one. We'll say we'd be fine with a video. Yeah, we're just gonna have to do a regular video because it's not enough for that. Saying I say 3, 1 + 2. Of course you would, because you just, Josh, you always find a way to get around the way and make your own way for anything. We say turn left, you like, no, I'm not gonna go right, I'm gonna go the other way. You just make new lanes. Saying the good old F around and find out. It has been the greatest experimentation in this new world of ours, where people do have to mess around and find out. Shoot, growing up in the with the 80s babies, 90s maybes has been the greatest thing. So I just discovered you now. Okay, cool. Like, love your content. I'll go through all your videos. Oh, cool. Well, welcome to the Glad Gang out here in these real and digital streets, Octavian. Glad to have you here. Saying, did you get the ZV-1 yet? No, I didn't. I'll be honest with you. I'm not gonna buy it. I'm probably just gonna rent it and do videos from that perspective and just do a long-term rental, because I don't need another APS-C camera. The ZV-10 Mark I only serves the purpose of B-roll, and for like when I need that second angle or whatever, or add in that multicam angle shooting. 4K 24 is pulling the 4K from 6K. There's nothing that I need it to do that it's not doing well or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Even for like the side angle shot, I'm showing you the lens or something like that. Like, I don't need this to be 4K 10-bit for this little second of it. You know what I'm saying? It's got the autofocus. It's got the everything that I would need. So what I found when I owned, I didn't buy the A6100. I just used it for a long time. So I had the Canon M50. I didn't buy the M6 Mark II. For a time, I had the M6 Mark II. I had the Panasonic G85. I had a Panasonic G7. I had the Panasonic Lumix GX8. I had the A6400, the A6600, the ZV-1, the DJI Osmo Pocket 1 when that came out. Got the ZV-E10, and like, I own a tremendous amount of cameras, and all of those were like at the same time, more or less. Some of them would be like flipping from one to the other, but a lot of those towards the end was just like I had all these cameras sitting around collecting dust doing, and it was no point in having them past what I needed to. So I learned my lesson of I don't need to buy and have them all for eons in a day. And if anything, if I bought it, it would be for the channel for content's sake. So there's a maybe there, and we'll see how those videos do. But I would probably just rent it and do those videos and be done with it, because for what? Me and the ZV-E1 been rolling for the last year. I'm done buying cameras for me. For the channel, that's different. For me, I'm done. Like, I don't need nothing else. Not that we hit some new goals where it's like new, you know what I'm saying? Like new dreams and stuff are now expanding, but there's not any new goals and new dream type stuff that I have that this camera can't do. And then for those couple shots that I need for something, I have that. And then I got a GoPro that does a good job for when I do need those super wide coverage shot type things or whatever, BTS, whatever kind of stuff for certain projects or whatever. But excuse me. Wow, excuse me. I should have muted that one. My apologies. That was disgusting. But yeah, it's like, and even just to buy it to swap out the what's the name of, it's like it will be a moot point. So I'll probably rent it, do content on it. If there is like such a huge desire or whatever, and it makes more sense to own instead of rent, that is what would make me buy it. But as a creator, like personally, I was done at the ZVE1. If anything, I would get a second ZVE1 because I'm not going to go back to APS-C personally, unless I just bought it for the channel, for coverage sake, for teaching from's sake, and if it would be of best value to the community, you know what I'm saying, just to have one, then I would. I thought to initially, but I'm like, I'm not gonna do it. So yeah, that was my thing with that. Said I'm 90s baby, therefore if I was strong, had good aim with the pot covers, that in the chunkless. So that's all I'm gonna say. I'm saying, okay, I was wondering if you still felt the Mark 1 would still be good for B-roll vlog camera. Think about getting the Mark 1 for vertical video content eventually with the A7C, since they're so cheap. There is nothing that I would want to do that I could not do already with the ZV-10 Mark 1. I just would need to take additional steps to get around certain quirks and limitations that it has. It has unlimited recording. It has 4K eye autofocus. It's a 6K sensor down sampled into 4K, or squares into 4K as I like to say. It has a microphone port. It has a headphone port. It has USB live streaming. It has clean HDMI. It has a flip out screen. It has the Sony APS-C sensor, but it also is the E mount. It's the one mount. There's no Sony lens or E mount lens that I could own that I couldn't use. It has internal USB-C charging. That camera checked so many boxes for me when it came out, which is why I was so jazzed. You can go back to them rumors videos from back in the day on that one. So jazzed when that camera came out. That was an instant buy. And then I got rid of everything else, minus the A6600 for a while. And I was like, I'd rather just have the ZV-1 and the ZV-10. And that's when I pretty much switched to just like the creator line of cameras by Sony. I never thought a camera like the ZV-1 would come out. And I was like, I'm done. Minus covering and getting cameras for the sake of the channel and like serving and teaching and stuff like that. And personally, for what I need my stuff to do, we were done at the ZV-1. I was like, oh man, shoot. I'm like, okay. Now, if they do a ZV-E1 Mark II, I'll probably get that. I freaking love the ZV-E1. I absolutely love this camera. Like, it's bizarre. It's so bizarre. I'm like, dang, I'm done. Like, I'm like, I'll probably get something else. Like when the ZV-10 not ZV-10, with the ZV-1 Mark II come out, like, I'll probably get that. Because they may add a fan to it, or they may enhance or rebuild, however they do that for the overall heating. No different than with the early A6000 cameras and then the latter ones, where overheating stopped being a concern and issue. And then get that one. Because that's the only thing maybe that they'll do is fix or learn or create some new kind of heatsink technology or something that they introduce. And then I would probably get that one. But I have the A7S3, yeah, sensor in there, same as the FX3. Like, I've done some incredible stuff with this camera that I'm just like what the hell? I've looked at footage that I've shot and I'm like, is this me? They're like, I'm like, all right now. And I'm like, but your skills also enhance as the more that you create and stuff like that. But I'm like, yeah, I could use the same ZV-10 Mark 1 for whatever. For vertical videos, it could work. It is a use case, probably more than anything. It's little stuff like, you see how you got kind of like the band, there's no banding there. Let me see if I can switch this real quick. And then unless I see more questions, you may or may not be at the end of the stream. So we shall see if we get the banding. And then let's see if all right, so I'm gonna switch to the second camera. And so this is just clean. And so I'm going to, actually, let me put it on manual focus. And then, can't see the menu. All right. Yeah. So I'm intentionally making it blurry, but you see those lines right there in the orange? You see how it's kind of like some orange black lines or whatever? Okay, well, that's banding. Okay, what I don't want is the banding, which is why when you look at this angle, you don't see any of that, right? So now when you look over here, this is Mark 1, and I specifically am blurring it so you would see what that looks like. And that's the Sony 35 f1.8. This is the lens I've been using for years, my favorite lens. But you see there's little bits of lines right there. You see them? That's that banding. And so switching to something like the Sony ZV-E1 Mark 1 versus the Mark 2, is little stuff like that. Those things are the things that would make me upgrade, because if I was to switch to like whatever the main camera was, and if I started using it more where like that would be an issue, because on this camera I have the anti-flicker mode, so you don't see any of those banding at all because I have the anti-flicker mode. When we go over here to this angle, now you do. Now this is when you start nitpicking as a creator and you start looking at what unique and small things that you want to make changes to. Your audience, I promise you, 0 people have ever complained, mentioned, or commented ever about those banding in any of the videos on my channel, or any product work type stuff, paid courses type stuff I've ever. 0 people, companies, or it's never limited me from any opportunity ever. It's never not been the reason why I didn't get paid, or you know what I'm saying? Like, it's never been a hindrance. 0. However, if now you are at the place where you're trying to buy something, then it's like, for me and my goals, and even like future goals that I have, what would I want to problem solve for and just make additions to? You know what I'm saying? So it's stuff like that. It's little things. I'm like, the anti-flicker mode would be nice. I'm like, you know what? This is why I switched from the A6600 to the ZV-10 Mark 1. That's this feed, because eye autofocus was a thing. I use this camera. Y'all know I use this camera. If you've been around the channel for a while, like, I'm like, I put this A6600 down. I'm like, you are not as good as the ZV-E10 for me. And I'm like, I sold it, easy sale. And I'm like, I can't wait to get rid of this. And I would just work with the ZV-1 because eye autofocus, USB streaming, USB internal charging, USB-C, USB live streaming, which I've done when I'm traveling, and we would still do the Friday live help for eons in a day. Y'all notice we've been streaming for 2 hours, 14 minutes. This is still the ZV. How are we doing this? USB-C, internal charging, hooked up to the battery bank, and it's running because it's just sitting on the desk. Don't have to do a whole bunch. You know what I'm saying? So it's little things like that that is why, like when I'm specifically mentioning a camera, I'm doing certain coverage or whatever. Like, that's why I said some stuff with YouTube, when you watching camera stuff on YouTube, when I try to cover something, I'm covering from an actual person that's making content, and my only content is not the only content I record with that camera is not just that YouTube review video. It's other stuff, other projects. You know what I'm saying? So it's like when I did the one about the gimbals. Okay, we did that shoot for an ad. We did that shoot for it was for a sales page video. So it's a video sales letter. So I shot that video sales letter using the Sony ZV-E1. No fan. I initially put it on there, forgot about it. And then it's like by the time I looked up, hours had passed because we needed to refine some script stuff. They had never recorded a video before. So I was like, then let me help. I said, send me the script. Let's line feed. Let's go through this. And I'll cue you in of what your line says of what you're doing. Like, we had a whole thing, ceiling fans on because the room is hot, but the room was still kind of warm as far as I'm concerned. Camera never overheated. I didn't even think about it. And I was just like, because I was like, this fan is in the way. And so I took it off and I'm like, this thing been dead for forever. Because we way past the battery limit of what it could maintain. So it was no overheating. I used the DJI Mic 2s and the new adapter that they had. So like when I'm talking about stuff, I'm not saying like my only video was the review video. Like I actually made stuff with what I'm talking about. This camera has made me so much money with little micro problems that nobody ever notices when you know copywriting, marketing, and just good basic videography skills. And shoot. So I haven't seen anybody talking about it again since launch. I'm gonna be real with you. You know why, Sam? Because they don't own it. They rented it. They were sent it, which I'm not against, but that's why. So like I said, if I cover something extensively, it's because I use it. I'm usually owning it. And if I don't, like I said earlier when you asked, I was like, and if I don't, then I will usually say, I'm not going to. Then I may change my mind or whatever later on, if it makes sense, or if the audience really responds well to it and people are like, can you cover more of this around it? And be like, okay, now it makes sense to just buy one versus like doing a long-term rental, which was the problem for me with the ZVE1, because everybody 3 days after the camera comes out doing review videos of, which I'm not really stepping on the toes of my fellow brother and sister creators that actually, you know what I'm saying, that I know actually makes good content, but everybody jumping on the hype train just for some quick views. It's like, oh, it overheats, it's unusable, the footage deteriorates, this, that, and whatever. Okay, if that's what you believe. I sold every camera that I owned, every APS-C camera that I own, including putting down my ZVE10. And I said, I'm only going to use this camera for a year straight, and I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. And that's what you've been watching for the last year. And then I was like, okay, now I'm gonna pick back up the ZV-10, and I got another one because I'm like, okay, I do need a second camera for some other stuff. A year has now passed. So I hit my mark for my full 1 year test of, can you 100% rely on the camera, and what quirks and issues would you actually run into? Not for you trying it for 2 and 3 days straight to do some tests here and there, because that's not honestly long enough to figure out what are the quirks and the issues for real when you actually are recording it. One project is not enough to see if you actually, how it actually works. Only reason why I asked for another one of these to be sent so I could give it away is because I actually put it to work. I did a shoot with it. I did a skit with it. I recorded an event with it. I've done streams with it. I've done content with it. I've done shorts with it. I can tell you all of the quirks and the issues with it and showing the full term use case for it. So that's more my style for like long-term reviews. And then you do need that like right up front content. So it's a use for whatever, you know, it's different strokes for different folks. But it's like, yeah, but especially with the ZVE1, reason why you stop seeing content from some until they bought it and then you saw more, because it was their primary camera. They may use the FX3, some FX6, some are more Canon creators or whatever. I don't judge anybody. Like, all the content serves some purpose and lane for some stuff or whatever. I just had an issue with those that they just like view hopping and shoot. That's all they was trying to do. I put my money where my mouth was. I said, I don't want to spend a dime more than I have to. I said, I'm gonna get rid of all my APS-C. I'm gonna make the jump for real. Now, give me the camera. Now let me see what lenses would be working well for this. Not what I could use from theory, but what would I actually use? What would I actually buy? What if you did spend all your money on the camera and you don't have a bunch for lenses? What are some of the best, cheap, more budget-friendly kind of lenses, which is how that relationship with Viltrox developed. And we've been testing and doing lenses and stuff like that, because ain't nobody all the time trying to drop $2,200 for a camera and then $2,200 for a lens. Their use case just doesn't make sense for it. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's stuff like that. I just try to think realistically about stuff. So the reason why you ain't seeing ZV-10 Mark II content on it, because I didn't buy it. I don't have a personal use case for it, but there is more of an audience interest where it may serve. So I'm gonna do like I always do. I'll rent it for a long-term period first. Then I'll see how those videos perform and if that's something that the audience wants more of. And then if it makes sense, then I'll buy it. And then be honest and upfront about what that actual use case is. Because what I usually do in that case, put down my main camera, make that new camera especially the first 30 days, and I do an extreme amount of content with it. Usually do some projects with it and stuff like that, to where I put myself in an uncomfortable position where if it messes up, I have to now explain to this client why this is late, why this is messed up, why the footage looks like this. I put myself in the uncomfortable situation of, we got to rely on it. Now what? So shoot, that's that's where I'm at from it. So Aman, good to see you. Or is that Aman or Amani? Let me know how you pronounce that correctly. Saying just came across your live looking for my first camera. I don't want to keep buying. So what would you recommend, please? I'm a new creator. What I would say, number one, my question to you would be, what is your intended use case? Like if you're already using Canon, do you prefer to stay with Canon, or are you interested in Sony? I mostly and almost exclusively to this point cover Sony content. My old Canon M50 stuff is still on the channel, but I'm not interested in moving towards Canon stuff, so I don't cover it. Nor do I personally think it best serves the type of creators I talk to. So let me know, what is your use case? If you're doing content creation, you're making shorts, you're making videos from a desk, ZV-10 Mark II. You plan on vlogging, ZV-10 Mark II. Unless you have a preference or some desire to go to full frame, then that depends on what is your use case. Because some people are doing photography, some people do more just like straight video and creating stuff, and then other people haven't done anything. And so it's a bunch of what I think I'm gonna do, and you're not really sure of what that's gonna entail. So let me know what your use case is. I'll come back around and see if you reply, and see if I can find something. Let me pull your name real quick and just see if I can find something for your channel, allegedly. Excuse me, or just even on YouTube, if I can find it on my phone. But I'm just looking on my phone just to see if I can find your channel from the stream real quick, because sometimes that's faster. And see if you have any content from that username, because if not, my dear, it would be infinitely harder to find stuff to help you. So I try to find what y'all are actually doing. That vignette do look hella deep on there. Let's see. Go to channel. Yeah, so that looks like content that you are watching stuff, not necessarily anything that you have made content yet. But I get the desire to not want to buy multiple cameras and like I need to upgrade it, because now we're at the point you can buy the one camera that you need and you don't need to upgrade anymore. So let me know what kind of content you intend to make, if you can, real quick. Otherwise, we get into the end of the stream. So what is up, Limb Drops? Good to see you. Glad that you are here. Long time, my brother. I know. Good to see you. Good to see you. Quick, guys. Gotta press the try 5 hour stream button. You're right. I'm finna wrap this stream up. We getting close to the end. I don't see no more questions. I'm not finna let y'all question bum rush me at the end to just try to extend the stream like y'all have done. Okay, what are we at? 2 hours? 2 hours and 2.5 hours. Oh, beautimous. 2.5 hours. That's a solid stream right there. You hear me? Y'all not finna push me to 5 hours today. JFK, get the taste out your mouth. Okay? Since I'm here, might as well. Hi, everyone. If you have not yet, click smash the like button and show Miss D your love and appreciation to help the algorithm. We love her comment. Thank you so much. Appreciate that, Limb Drops. That's what I'm talking about. Saying, see, you just answered my internal questions about the A6700 versus the ZV-10 now. Exactly. It's like, who owns? The issue is, most of the, I would say the best term may be headline channels that you see the most of when a new camera comes out, is they, like I said, or they own the A7 IV. They are an A7R style creator, so they don't need to buy a video camera. They may, but they don't need to buy one exactly. They're not APS-C users. A lot of them around circa 2018, when the A7 III came out, switched full frame. And they've been full frame ever since. So they may cover some APS-C, may get the new APS-C cameras and stuff to talk about, but they don't use those cameras. And that's why you also get kind of like that deterrent style tonality sometimes. And And again, this isn't a jar. It's just where the market is. You know what I'm saying? So it'd be like, oh, but it doesn't have that full frame look. You hear phrases, stuff like that. It doesn't have that full frame look. Like, yeah, but you know, it's only APS-C. It's only APS-C. So you're not going to get that depth of field and blurry background like you would want. You're not going to get, it's like, oh, but it's only APS-C, so you're going to have to deal with this. But you can, you know, be great for vlogging. You know what I'm saying? Like they a little bit categorize it sometimes. And it's not everybody. But again, it's just like, that's why you see and hear some shifts market-wise or what have you. Same rules apply. I'm no different. And I'll say at times certain stuff, and I'm like, and this is why I believe, you know, Sony is better for this kind of creator instead of a Canon camera present day, but you can choose whatever and it works great. See that little undertone that's there because that's preference sneaking in. That's all it is. It's just preference sneaking into the conversation, presented as if almost fact. It's just preference though. But when I give recommendations, as y'all know, and if you're new to the channel, I give recommendations based on what your use case is and what you say you want and you're trying to do. And then I'll share my preference separate, but it's never gonna cloud my judgment. I've made camcorder recommendations because that's what somebody wanted, used, and they loved it. You know what I'm saying? So like that. Saying, hey y'all, I have a question. Just see, question bombardment. We're not doing it. What's up, Ken? Good to see you. No, not doing it. Saying is good. We'll let you escape this time. I'm not playing, y'all. Say I'm on TikTok. No content here. Okay, got you. Got you. Saying you said it right the first time. Okay, Aman, good to see you. Glad I pronounced that correctly. I don't have any cameras. I don't have a preference. I want to travel around just sitting outdoors, and I don't have any content, and I'm new. Okay, my dear. If you're making content on TikTok, we got the vertical variation already. Then we're now looking at something in the ballpark of you do probably want to stick with APS-C, and I'm hesitant to throw this recommendation out there, but it could work for some use cases, but in some probably not. And that's the Osmo Pocket that just came out. I think it's like the Osmo Pocket 3 that they're up to now, especially for vertical video type stuff. It could work. It's just needing more light indoors, but that'll be kind of like similar to what, and even better in some instances, what your smartphone can do. But vertical videos, if I was to make that suggestion, I would go still the Sony ZV-E10 Mark II, and specifically for TikTok content, honestly, I would probably go, especially like you're doing vlogging and stuff. You're gonna hear a lot of people say, oh, get the Sony 11mm f1.8. That is a good recommendation, but I would give you options by saying either go to the Sigma 10 to 18 f2.8, or if you really are heavy into vlogging and you want to show more of what's around you, you're not trying to blur the background, even the older Sony 10 to 18 f4 OSS lens would be a solid option. And I'm saying that from being in those use case scenarios, actually using the stuff in that way. That's a great setup, because now what you can have the zoom lens to bring it in when you need to, or you're vlogging and you do want to kind of bring it in a little bit, but then you have that super wide so you can show how big this building is, how much of stuff is around you when you're traveling or whatever, or you got you and your friends and you don't have to hold your arm all the way out to forever and a day. You know what I'm saying, to get everything in the shot, as is usually the instance with the kit lens. You'll have great battery life and fantastic autofocus, unlimited recording. So I'm giving you a recommendation that can survive any stuff that you can probably imagine right now, or like future goal type stuff. That's something that you won't need to upgrade from probably ever, unless you just want to. If you mostly, depending on what kind of vlog stuff, I don't know what, you know, vlogging is defined slightly different for everybody. You know, like a smaller camera, like a Pocket, Osmo Pocket, or Osmo Action even, / GoPro could be cool as well. Because I know I watch some creators, they're hikers, they're whatever. And so in vertical mode with a GoPro or action style camera, Osmo Action 5, for example, is super wide. And it's low touch, low tech, and works great. If that's, you know what I'm saying, you're doing like camping, that kind of stuff or whatever. So that's where I'm at. All right. Question. What is the meaning of life? The meaning of life is to do a fantastic stream, serve your community, be of service to others, love one another, better than you love yourselves at times, because I find some people don't love themselves well. So say treat people how as much, or love on people as much as you love each, doesn't work. And I know what you're trying to do, which is question stuff at the end and be of service and good cheer. Okay? Be of service and freaking good cheer. And that will expose to you the meaning of your life. How about that? Now we have answered all the questions on the stream. Y'all not finna hold me out here in these real and digital streets. I'm finna go out and live a fantastic life. And I hope that you do the same with that, guys. So with passion, I'll see you on the next piece of content on the channel out here in these real and digital streets. Remember to create, post, repeat, and I'll see y'all later.